will resume following the announcement.
Good morning. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C. I'm here to provide an update, to provide the public with the district's posture and update on the acts of domestic terrorism and sedition that unfolded in the nation's capital yesterday. I'm joined by members of my team, including the Chief of Police, Robert Conti, and the Director of Homeland Security, Chris Rodriguez. We are also joined by the Secretary of the Army, Secretary Ryan McCarthy, who will be available to answer your questions as well. I want to begin by thanking DC residents for heeding our call to stay at home during the last 2 days. You did your part to keep our city safe. What we saw was an affront not only to our democracy, but also to our values, the values that make the District of Columbia a welcoming, diverse, and inclusive city. I also want to thank the men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department for responding to the United States Capitol Police's request yesterday for backup and quickly restoring order to the Capitol building. Their heroic acts yesterday demonstrate what true patriotism is. Chief Conti and I joined Chief in touring the city last night and had the opportunity to see our police at work. And so we want to thank them for everything that they do, not only in supporting the federal response, but in keeping our city safe as well. Overnight, as expected, the Congress affirmed President-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and it is official that certification. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will take the oath of office on January 20th to be the 46th president of the United States of America. We know, and we all knew that the end result of this free and fair election would be the oaths that they take on January 20th. This should send a clear message to our nation and the world that despite actions of an unhinged president and those that believe the baseless conspiracies that have been peddled by him and by other elected officials, that the United States remains strong. Our democracy is prevailing, decency is prevailing, and hope and change are on the horizon. While it seems like a lifetime ago, it was just yesterday that we received the final election results out of the state of Georgia. And I want to congratulate Senator, what I'm going to call him, Reverend Senator Warnock, and Senator-elect Ossoff. I also want to make a few priorities clear for the new Congress that are very important to the district. First, we must get statehood on the president's desk within the first 100 days of the 117th Congress.
DC deserves
Congress must immediately transfer command of the District of Columbia National Guard from the President of the United States and put it squarely under the command and control of the Mayor of the District of Columbia.
Agreed.
The Congress must create a nonpartisan commission to understand the catastrophic security failures that happened at the Capitol on January 6, 2021, both to hold people accountable and to ensure that it never happens again.
Amen.
We must also understand why the federal law enforcement response was much stronger at the protest over the summer than during yesterday's attack on Congress. I also call on the Joint Terrorism Task Force to investigate, arrest, and prosecute any individual who
the reason it wasn't
Capitol,
like people keep sharing the image of the Capitol steps covered in fucking troops. That was after what, days if not weeks of the violent protests that had erupted. That like we didn't have that precursor to all this, and people aren't in the state of mind to process that.
What happened yesterday is what he wanted to happen, and we must not underestimate the damage he can do to our nation and our democracy.
This is because of Trump, those who enabled Trump.
And it's
we
not
need to focus
just the
on that,
president
not
who must be held
side
accountable,
arguments
so too must
about, like, if they
the
were black, this
domestic
would have happened,
terrorists
which
who
isn't the
stormed the
case.
Capitol and threatened
Or at
members
least
of
isn't
Congress.
likely the case.
What happened yesterday is textbook terrorism.
Well, thank you,
Let
Biggie
me
Cheese. I'm glad you think
read you
so.
a definition. It's from the Federal Code of Regulations. It's defined as the unlawful use of force and violence against persons or property to intimidate or coerce
Is this terrorism
a government,
she's defining? Yes.
the civilian population, or any segment thereof in furtherance of political or social objectives. The FBI has already set up a website where Americans can report tips, and today MPD is releasing
So many people are
its
getting
own
arrested.
lookout information. Any tips that are
why you wear your
reported
mask,
to
right?
MPD will also be shared with the FBI. So I encourage Washingtonians who can provide information to do so by texting 50411, 50411, or by calling 202-727-9099. We are still in the midst of our response.
Get to it, Reddit.
We have aided the federal government in establishing the security of the United States Capitol. These incidents were contained to the United States Capitol and its grounds. We will review for ourselves what occurred yesterday to commend those who performed heroically and to learn what mistakes were made. With that, I want to ask Chief Conti to provide any update from the Metropolitan Police Department, followed by a situational update from Secretary McCarthy.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser, and good morning, everyone. As communities across the country are still processing the images of the violent mob that stormed the U.S. Capitol, I want to start this morning by thanking the members of the Metropolitan Police Department. When U.S. Capitol Police called for assistance, it was you that answered their call without hesitation. Your actions to restore democracy were nothing short of heroic and should be recognized. As MPD members, you serve the D.C. community each and every day, but yesterday evening, you answered the call to serve all Americans. Many of you here today understand that the district is unique in respect to the number of law enforcement agencies operating in local D.C., the many federal buildings and national park lands. But I have seen some misinformation out there that I would like to clear up. MPD's responsibility is to provide public safety services to the vibrant communities that make up this great city. MPD assisted U.S. Capitol Police when they requested our assistance on their grounds. What we did do was restore democracy for all of America and assisted our partners, the U.S. Capitol, and their approximately 2,000 member force by providing a swift response to an escalating situation. MPD members will continue to be responsible for local D.C., but we are willing and capable, as we saw yesterday, of assisting our partners at any moment. Again, when U.S. Capitol Police called for assistance, MPD answered the call.
Just nothing yet.
I would also be remiss if I did not recognize the support we receive from our law enforcement partners regionally and the D.C. National Guard assets. Please allow me to provide an update in regards to arrests made by MPD related to unrest.
You have the floor. Go ahead.
There were 68 individuals arrested yesterday evening and into the early morning hours of January 7th. Of the 68 arrests, 60 were adult males and 8 were adult females. 41 of those arrests occurred on U.S. Capitol grounds, and to my knowledge, only one of the arrestees is from the District of Columbia. I just want to underscore that. Only one of the arrestees was from the District of Columbia. However, we still have a significant amount of work ahead of us to identify and hold each and every one of the violent mob accountable for their actions. We have collected numerous images of persons of interest that we are asking the community to help us identify. These images depict individuals engaged in various acts of violence or property destruction, and we have made these images available on our website and social media platforms. We shared these images last night with the DC Bids, the hotel associations, and other community partners, along with the FBI. We also have shared these images with the regional airport authorities. As we speak, we have members of the Metropolitan Police Department that are scouring the area hotels.
That was a double.
Businesses,
I'm ordering Chipotle, and also
trying to identify some of these
the
individuals that
airports.
still may be taking up residence within our city. The FBI, we're working closely with them to aggressively pursue those responsible for these shameful and violent acts. You can help by taking a moment to view them and provide us with assistance. Again, they have been publicly released on our website. Anyone with information on their identities or whereabouts is encouraged to reach out to MPD at 202-727-9099 or text us at 50411. Information can be provided anonymously. In addition to what I've already mentioned, we will also be sending these images out across the country to the FBI offices in every state. We have authorized a reward of up to $1,000 for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of persons
I'm going to mute
responsible.
this for a second just because they're talking about that. In the video, Evans identifies himself by shouting, "Derek Evans is in the Capitol," and turning the camera on his face several times. A newly elected West Virginia delegate was part of the pro-Trump mob that stormed the Capitol. What a fucking idiot.
And professional police service to our district neighborhoods. Residents and visitors should continue to expect traffic disruptions and a large law enforcement presence in and around the National Mall and U.S. Capitol. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to provide the identities
I don't know if I've ever posted
of the
PogChamp in
persons
an actual
that lost
Twitch
their
chat.
lives yesterday. As I mentioned late yesterday, the Metropolitan Police Department is handling the investigation of the U.S. Capitol police officer-involved shooting that occurred in the House lobby area. The decedent in that shooting has been identified as 35-year-old Ashley Pameton. Ashley, also known as Ashley Babbitt of Huntington, Maryland. This remains an active MPD investigation. There were 3 additional deaths that occurred, which we believe all to be the results of medical emergencies. The decedents have been identified as 50-year-old Benjamin Phillips of Ringtown, Pennsylvania, 55-year-old Kevin Greason of Athens, Alabama, and
3 MAGA folks just
34-year-old
showed up and had
Roseanne
heart
Boylan
attacks.
of Kennesaw, Georgia.
Like, all that
Lastly,
McDonald's
I would like
and
to
revolutionary
thank
talk caught up to
all
them.
of DC
It was too much
and
excitement.
our neighboring jurisdictions in Virginia, in Maryland, for adhering to the mayor's and the governor's curfew orders. And now I can turn it over to Secretary McCarthy.
Thank you, Chief Conte, Mayor Bowser. Yesterday was a horrible and shameful day in our history.
Sure was.
But one thing we did see was incredible leadership by Mayor Bowser and Chief Conte, and saw the best of this city. When they called us over at the Pentagon, we started getting awareness yesterday afternoon about the breach within the Capitol, and quickly worked to support, move our resources forward in support of Metro PD and the Capitol Police, and responded, and truly saw some incredibly heroic things from the Metro PD and our DC Guardsmen. Very proud of those men and women. At present, the entire DC National Guard has been mobilized. We have also received the support from the state of Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and New York. There will be 6,200 guardsmen in total by the weekend here at the U.S. and the U.S. National Capital Region, in support of the DC Metropolitan Police Department,
as
well as the
National
Capitol
Guardsman
Hill Police.
and I get called
At
in for this
present,
shit.
we
It's
have
like, what the fuck?
over 150 personnel up on the Capitol grounds, and we will have 850 on the Capitol grounds by noon today. At 9 a.m. this morning, we began erecting a 7-foot non-scalable fence, which will be from Constitution to Independence and First Avenue to the in front of the pond right there in front of the Capitol, that road right there. So these personnel and this security measures will be in place for no less than the next 30 days. And
I'm going to do
we'll be
call-ins
keeping
after
all
this
of
if you guys want to chat.
support mechanisms in place in constant coordination with the Capitol Police and the Mayor's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We should have also noted that we are joined by the Deputy Mayor, Roger Mitchell, as well as Chief Donnelly, the Chief of DC Fire and EMS, and we're available for questions.
In the House.
Do we have anything available with it printed? Can we print that? We'll get that to you. Okay, thank you.
Mayor Bowser, given yesterday, I mean, I was
Can
out
you
on the
just-
streets. I saw
Can you
MP,
just introduce yourself
Pete
before?
Montine with CNN.
Okay.
Saw MPD making arrests for the curfew. Saw MPD out at the Capitol. It seemed like MPD was out in numbers, but Capitol Police were not. What do you say to that? How do you classify Capitol Police and their response?
Well, I think that there's going to be a lot of time
No, I'm no
for
longer
us to
IRR
figure out
Beagle.
what happened. Obviously, it was a failure, or you would not have
I've been
had
out of the
police
military
lines
for-
breached and people
Was it 2021?
enter the Capitol building by breaking windows and terrorizing the people, the
5 years.
members of Congress who were doing a very sacred constitutional requirement of their jobs. So clearly, there was a failure there. I think that I won't be able to answer your question right now. There's going to have to be a real investigation into what happened. Yes.
You wish that you got more federal support early on. You sent a letter earlier before the 6th saying we don't necessarily need the federal help when it comes to policing in the district. Do you wish you did something differently there?
Well, let me be clear about what the district's responsibility is. I know that you heard Chief Conte's remarks, but let me step back a little bit. We, of course, have a nearly 4,000 person police department, and we are responsible for policing non-federal properties in the District of Columbia. And that's an important distinction because I think you know part of our founding and the creation of the District of Columbia was the federal government's concern that the local jurisdiction could not overtake the federal part of government. And so the Capitol, the White House, and other federal installations in the district
I think
have
they're talking
their
about that now,
own
AC.
police departments, the United States Capitol Police. And we cannot decide for the Capitol, the members of Congress, that we are going to be their police department. But we stand ready to assist them at any case, and that's why we have so much
So it was
regional
on
planning
the
for
Capitol
for
Police
big
that do
events,
manage the
for
federal government,
demonstrations, for protests
to get the DC
that
police
turned
involved.
riotous like this one, for the inauguration, for the 4th of July, you name it. We have a regional cooperation system and planning. Now, as we planned with all of our federal partners for this event on January 6th, I made the decision that I needed MPD to focus on law enforcement activities and being able to respond to any hot spots. And that's why we needed our National Guard, the DC National Guard, to help us maintain a perimeter around our areas of concern. The Capitol Police and the leadership at the Capitol, they did not make the decision to call in Guard support. I cannot order the Army, the National Guard, to the United States Capitol grounds. I can in the district with the approval of the Secretary of the Army. So I guess we called up our Guard, and we've had Guard support throughout our COVID pandemic. But specifically for public safety issues, I will issue an additional request to the Army, which I think I did at the end of December. And the Secretary of Army approved that request, and we put our Guard troops on the ground to support MPD. Yes.
Mayor, you said there was a state of emergency you were declaring for, I guess, 2 weeks. What does that mean, and how is that different from what we would expect anyway over the next 2 weeks?
The state of emergency is a way that I can organize the resources of DC government to move on an emergency basis. So some things that you might expect would have community notice, we may not be able to have that type of notice because we need to move urgently. It helps me organize all of my procurement resources on this issue. That's all administrative. But more than that, it's a notice to the public that we may have to do some extraordinary things to maintain public safety. And a curfew is an extraordinary thing that we have to use to maintain public safety. When I tell residents of the District of Columbia to stay in your home or you could be subject to arrest, that's an extraordinary thing. And the state of emergency puts DC residents, visitors, and our businesses on notice that we may have to do something extraordinary like that, that would require you to stay at home or close your business,
Morning,
or
Lynnie.
stop transit or other public transportation earlier, so that we can maintain public safety in the district.
So it's just so people are kind of aware that things could happen quickly, because obviously you did a curfew like
This did
that
happen
yesterday,
quickly.
right?
We gave about
Like within
4
30
hours,
minutes, this
3 or 4
crowd gathered,
hours,
like less. Like
notice.
the mob appeared
It
suddenly.
is important when we do a
There wasn't
curfew,
really time to like, oh fuck,
so
we don't
that
have enough
everything
people
is legal
react.
and the
There was
arrests
time to
that our
save
officers
people.
make are prosecuted. That
Thank you,
we
Ann
follow a
Barrington.
certain protocol. We issued
not
a
usually
public
comfortable leaving it
emergency. We
ungroomed like
justify
this.
why that
I'm trying to
infringement on
take care of
people's
it.
liberty is necessary. We give a public statement that you all carry widely so people are aware. I think we issued several what do you call those? WIA alerts that went out on people's cell phones. That includes district residents and people visiting the district. So we make every effort that people can comply with our public safety order. Yes.
Mayor Bowser.
Just please introduce yourself and your
Ike
network.
Ajaji from Fox 5. There was a moment yesterday when a riot was declared. It was the same type of thing that happened during the summer at the protest. Can you run me through some of the things that can happen when the differences between when you declare a riot and when a state of emergency is declared? Do law enforcement get certain liberties in one thing and the other? Can you
Sure.
just
Let me ask Chief Conti to talk about that.
Sure. As the mayor mentioned, you know, the state of emergency, it allows the city to do extraordinary things. As she mentioned, the curfew, again, a great infringement, you know, on just the day-to-day business in the city. In this particular case, when a riot was declared, that means that we have
Apologies if I
a
missed the YouTube
situation
chat.
where individuals are actively, violently engaging in crimes. And that's the clear distinction. At the time that the riot was declared, and I believe that was MPD personnel on the grounds of the Capitol that were on the air declaring this a riot. So that's the distinction between the two. Yes.
Now, when a riot is declared, what liberties does that give MPD?
So
per se?
for MPD, it may determine the level of force that we use. So for example, you know, in some cases we may use pepper spray. In a riot situation, you know, we could very well use tear gas or CS gas, that kind of thing. So
And
that would be.
at what time was the riot actually called?
I don't have the exact time that it was, but I can tell you that MPD was requested around about 1 o'clock p.m. is when MPD was requested by U.S. Capitol to respond, and things were already pretty bad at that point.
So my question is, over the summer, when the riot was declared, that gave MPD the chance to use these munitions per se. From what happened yesterday, is there a train of thought possibly that maybe declaring a riot earlier could have prevented some of the things that happened?
Well, no, you can't declare a riot until you have violent acts occurring. And I think that MPD is very careful about when we do declare a riotous situation. I mean, there are situations where we have officers that are having bricks thrown at them, bottles thrown at them, everything, you name it, urine, and we have not in every instance declared a riot. In this one, we had projectiles being thrown at our officers, and we had people trying to breach the United States Capitol, in the nation's capital. I think, if anything, I mean, that certainly warrants declaration of a riot, and clearly we experienced that yesterday.
Yes.
Yes, Michael Bryce Sadler with the Washington Post. For Chief Conti, perhaps Chief Donnelly, the 3 decedents who died from medical emergencies yesterday, have we determined whether they were part of the riots or other people who were on Capitol grounds?
What was that question, Michael?
My question was for the 3 people who died from medical emergencies yesterday.
Thank you.
Yes.
There were a lot of people on the grounds of the Capitol yesterday, and I guess the extent that we can say right now is that they were on the grounds of the Capitol when they experienced their medical emergency.
Okay, but you can't specify.
I can't
beyond that?
specify.
Okay, and then there was a stabbing yesterday at 12th in Pennsylvania, and separate shootings on 200 K Street Northwest and also 9th and N Street Northwest. Have police determined if any of those were related to the unrest in the city?
It does not appear that any of those were related to the unrest in the city, and those matters are actually actively being investigated, but it does not appear they were related.
Okay, thank you. And then for Mayor Bowser, could you talk about how the events of yesterday will impact how the city is preparing for the inauguration?
I can't speak to you with any specifics at this stage, Michael, but we will be looking very closely at what we learned, what's happening at the Capitol, working with congressional leadership and the Presidential Inauguration Committee.
Okay, thank you. And then,
but you did hear the Secretary offer two very important points already. That the fencing that is going up around the Capitol, non-scalable fencing, will be in place through the inauguration, and the guard strength that will be coming on the ground by this weekend, up to 6,200, will be available through the inauguration as well.
Which is a larger composition of personnel than you would have for a standard inauguration.
thank you. And then just one follow-up there for you, Secretary McCarthy. The black fencing, you said at least 30 days or no more than 30 days that will be erected?
At a minimum.
At a minimum. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
and we'll work that in coordination with the city as well as the Capitol Hill Police.
Thank you.
Yes, Mark.
If you guys have any questions, you're welcome to ask in chat.
Two questions for Secretary.
Or join the Discord after.
And I tried to follow along. Could you repeat the specifics about the fence? Will it completely surround the U.S. Capitol complex, the fencing? Could you just give those specifics one more time?
Yes. So Constitution to Independence first, and then the road there in front by the pond, it'll be all the way around.
And how high will that be?
7 foot.
7 feet,
Non-scalable.
Compare that to what we see at the White House.
This is what was available. We worked through this solution midstream yesterday, and we were on the phones to get, as quickly as possible, a capability in place to extend the perimeter of the National Capitol Complex. We could get as many metropolitan
I don't know if
police
there's still
officers
protests. It
out
sounds
into
like the streets are pretty
so that
clear right
in
now.
the event that if this was to recur again or downstream, Chief Conte would have as much flexibility with his police force as possible, and we could take over the static security positions.
And I appreciate it may not have been your decision, and we know it certainly, the chief and the mayor said it wasn't their decision, but what can you tell us about the lack of preparation prior to yesterday on the part of the U.S. Capitol Police, and why in months prior we saw troops surrounding the U.S. Capitol when other protesters were coming, but yesterday we didn't see anything. Why were there no troops or any other backup security there yesterday, given what we all knew in the public domain? You must have had better intelligence than we did, but we all knew that this was possible, if not likely.
Well, we don't have, we rely on our intelligence from law enforcement and local police, obviously, but with respect to the pre-coordination, to the mayor's point, those things are all being looked at. There were discussions previously with the Capitol Police and others, and no request of the D.C. National Guard were made. Obviously, it is a different branch of government, so we have to be requested to come onto the grounds.
Yes.
Tomato Brew asks.
Washingtonian. Mayor Bowser, correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that with the public emergency, any curfews, business closures, that's going to be kind of a day-to-day decision based on the threat in the city. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
On the curfew question.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
To answer the question from EU, how worried does all this make me as a U.S. citizen? It makes me very worried. Like, we have to handle this so the reason I am so happy that the police didn't unload on these people, as much as I want them to be taught a lesson and shown, hey, you don't get to fucking do this. You don't get to march in insurrection against the U.S. fucking Capitol on the day of the election results being certified. The reason I'm not wishing that the police had unloaded is because we don't need to create martyrs. We don't need to hand them the Boston Massacre on a fucking platter for them to propagandize. They're already going to propagandize the death of that one lady and maybe even the other three, even though they weren't police shooting deaths. We don't need that, right? So I'm thinking of the long term, the future. I want these people to be shown in some way that you can't fucking do this, but at the same time, I want to be mindful of escalations. This could be the beer hall push that Hitler did. Well, it was super unpopular, and he was laughed at, and he went to prison, but eventually like was able to still obtain power, right? Like, I don't want them to have that Boston Massacre. I don't want them to have propaganda to bolster their ideas. Half the country is pissed off about the election. A quarter of that, or a quarter of the country believes that it might have been fraudulent. And probably a decent amount of those people believe that these folks are just, hey, Americans that are seeking the chance to really make their voice heard and not stand for the election being stolen. I don't want them to have that validity. So I'm worried, because this is a very rough situation to handle. And people are getting pissed off that these people weren't shot. People are getting pissed off that there weren't legions of troops standing on the porch. And there are reasons for this. And rather than focus on the fact that we had people attempt to disrupt the democratic process, again, in one of the more aggressive ways that we've seen, not just rhetoric on Twitter, not just these bullshit lawsuits, but actual in-person action. That's what we need to focus on. Not the side conversations about if it was BLM, not the side conversations about why weren't they prepared, which obviously is something that needs to be fucking addressed by the authorities. But let's focus on the fact that there are people out there spreading rhetoric, spreading misinformation that is leading to this. And if we don't find a way to stop it, and that doesn't mean excommunicating half the fucking country, if we don't find a way to stop it that is healthy for our nation, this is going to escalate into something worse. And I don't want that. I don't want to fucking Tim Pool this with like, the Civil War is coming. Like, I want to actually be proactive and pragmatic about it. And I want to address the proper issues the way we ought to address them and make a path forward that resolves these tensions, that makes these people not feel like they've just been pushed aside. And I'm not talking about those people as in those fucking idiots in the Capitol. I'm talking to the people that think, well, isn't this what America's about? Like, no, you fucking turd.
We should all be upset about all of those things. I am heartened that our police and guards people were able to get control of the building and that our lawmakers went back into that building to vote. I'm upset that 706,000 residents of the District of Columbia did not have a single vote in that Congress yesterday, despite the fact that our people were putting their lives on the line to protect our democracy.
Oh, and here's the other thing. Like, I don't like that shot. Like, we want to talk about police violence. I don't like that shot. Like, the reason that the Capitol Police weren't unloading on this group is, one, they could be overwhelmed entirely. Like, so all they're doing is killing people for no reason. Because if they shoot into the fucking crowd and the crowd gets incensed and charges, there were not enough Capitol Police, not enough guns or rounds to stop that mob, right? Two, they had priorities. Protect the senators and the staff and the representatives and the staff, right? Two, prevent further ingress. And three, not create a massacre, right? Those are the priorities. So I think that is a moment of a lack of restraint. All she was doing is crawling through a window. Now, if that was like some safe hold that like they had orders, you cannot let anyone pass this point, then sure. I have no sympathy for that. But I worry about that one person. I'm not worrying about that person because it's like, hey, come on, it was an American. What are you doing? Like, no, you were breaking the fucking Capitol. You might have deserved to get fucking capped. But I'm more worried about martyrdom and the effects that could have. And also, I it's like I've said a few times, they would have let that entire, if it meant not firing a single shot, not escalating things, they would have let the entire building fill up and then moved everyone out as long as senators and staff and congressmen were safe.
I think it's safe to say that, we had certainly people who were like-minded with all the rhetoric that has been going on.
Police trying to hold. No, can you link that, Daily Guardsman? Apparently there are clips of
I won't give credit to
the police trying to hold the barricade outside.
What were the injury numbers, Chief?
For our police officers.
Yeah, and impeaching Trump isn't going to do fucking shit for this.
14 initially, but that number went up to about 56. over the course of the night. And I got to tell you, there was a lot of valiant fighting by the members of the Metropolitan
How do you feel
Police
Bastier's take about how to
there.
treat the rioters after this
At
event?
one point,
He was pretty extreme.
Several officers.
I don't know what he said.
As a
I don't think
result
they should be
of
lynched or
the-
any shit like that. Like, I think they need to be arrested. I think they need to be charged. If you want to put sedition charges on them, all for it, 100%. Like, that's how I think we teach these people you don't fuck around. Oh shit. Yeah. See, here's the thing. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna pause this. Hopefully, I can pause and then keep it going. Where did that go? Okay, you see this? Is it showing for you guys? Okay, cool. Look at this. This is what you're seeing right here. Like this, if this is, yeah, because it's daylight. So I think this is before they end up getting up there and getting in. Yeah, so you're seeing it break. So let's go ahead and, can I rewind this? I don't know how to use this. Oh, it's on here. Okay. Like, so what you're seeing here, something to really focus on. These people are trying to stop this, right? This mob, I remember seeing like a Twitter post or something an hour before this where there was a small gathering and the person's comment was like, expecting more to show up later, but it's relatively quiet here right now. This was like 30 minutes or so after Trump finished speaking, these people showed the fuck up real quick, right? It's hard to fucking react to that. And there were Trump marches in the past, like couple months after the election that didn't devolve to this level of fucking crazy, right? So we're not dealing with weeks of riding around the country or days of riding around the country where the DC had a bunch of cities that had peaceful protests mostly had to like arm up just in case, border up businesses, whatever, right? So we have that to consider as one reason why they might have been underprepared for this. Two, when threats are made for a long, long time, complacency is a problem. Being able to protect against multiple targets, whatever. Now, I don't know, because I haven't seen anything on it, to what degree they had actually talked about going to the Capitol. And I don't know the rhetoric they used, or not rhetoric, I don't know what language they were using, like saying, hey, we're going to protest at the Capitol, hey, we're going to storm the Capitol, whatever. But I've seen some reports on Twitter saying that that this was planned out in the open. But again, there's a lot of like preparation for violence and expectations of psycho behavior. There was during the BLM riots, and there have been during the DC things. When Proud Boys come to DC, last couple times, I've heard nothing but, hey, be careful, warnings, government, stepping in and giving calls to be careful from citizens and sometimes curfews and all that other shit, right? So, with that, there are discussions to be had about preparation and whatnot. But from this video, the thing to take away is that this happened fast. This happened quickly. And we have to think about how are we going to handle this.
I have one officer who's still in the hospital right now. He was snatched into a crowd. He was beaten. He was kicked. He was tased several times.
Oh, yeah, Bastier is right. They should be punished to the full extent of the law. It should be called insurrection.
Very hard,
it should be called an attempted coup. It should be called,
that's correct.
Hell, even treason. Do I think they all need to be fucking put to death? No,
Yes.
but I'm also against the death penalty.
Okay, clarification on the arrests. I'm seeing that 25 arrests were made for curfew violations and unlawful entry on the Capitol grounds. I'm wondering if there were any arrests made just for unlawful entry
I think I saw
on
an
the
estimate
Capitol
that there were
grounds, or if all those
100,000 out
arrested were
there,
in curfew
like during the
violation.
time
So,
the riot was going on.
all the arrests that occurred after 6 p.m., the initial group of 25
Thanks,
or
Wiz.
26, whatever it was, those arrests were right on the Capitol grounds. This was after the mayor's curfew was in effect. We gave the order. Individuals were still there, which we're required to do. We gave the order. Individuals were still there, and we placed those individuals who were there, we placed them under arrest. MPD was able to do that. So that was really kind of the balance. And the goal was for us, as we were able to secure the perimeter and have a strong perimeter, to make arrests and then start working our way out. The balance of that was as MPD members worked through the streets of the District of Columbia to ensure the safety and security of our businesses and residents, especially in the immediate areas surrounding the Capitol and some of the areas where we know that some of the people that were involved in this were congregating. MPD members were able to make additional arrests over the course of.
When I do politics, yeah, it gets up there,
Arrests
GTD.
made for those who unlawfully entered the Capitol
Thank you for
building
the
until 6 p.m.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, and then I think people are a little confused at just the low numbers of arrests that were made. There's videos of hundreds of people coming into the Capitol. Can you explain a little bit why those numbers are so low? What happens? Do people leave? Is this an issue of not having enough people to manage it?
No, sure. I can tell you, I mean, probably not many people in this room have been in the midst of a riot or an insurgence like that. And the first thing that you have to do is to regain control. You have to establish control of the situation that was going on. The men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department went into a situation that was already out of control. So once control was established and that perimeter was established, then and only then are we able to safely make arrests. Because as you begin to make arrests, now we get into additional use of forces, additional injuries of officers, and potential additional injuries of the people that we intend on arresting. We have a responsibility to ensure the safety and security, abide by the Constitution and all of that, and we intended to do that. So we made the arrest that we made.
Fuck
in front
you,
of the Capitol.
Ian, you
After
dumb
that,
motherfucker. Ian Miles Chong, sorry, it's a pain in the ass for me to show you Twitter. Ian says, the woman who was shot and killed inside the Capitol building has been identified as Ashley Babbitt, a wife, a friend, a daughter, and a 14-year Air Force veteran. Also a fucking insurrectionist, you dumb fucking twat. I'm tired of Ian, claiming to be this weird foreign conservative entity who loves America and American democracy, and yet he has zero intelligence or integrity to identify someone who is fighting against those things he claims to love about America. Insurrectionist. Part of a riot that sought to overturn a democratic election.
Gone differently for you? What would you have been able to do differently and on what kind of a timeline?
I don't think they should have an inauguration
would be,
publicly because of this. I think there should be curfews locked down and
or before then,
probably no gatherings of any sort in D.C. until he is
right now to give
elected.
The mayor control of the D.C. National Guard. What's different is we would not make a request to the Secretary.
It was
of the
annoying
Army
listening
for
to him talk to
guards
Destiny.
Support. We would not be restricted in any way from how to deploy the Guard. So we wouldn't have to clear a deployment plan with the Secretary of the Army. We could be nimble in how we change it. If we have a deployment plan that was approved, for example, that limited the Guard to the traffic box or to 9th Street, if we find out during the course of the response that needs to change dramatically, then I, as mayor/governor, would make that determination. That's the big difference. What wouldn't be different as governor would be my ability to put the National Guard on the Capitol steps. I wouldn't be able to do that as governor, nor would I be able to use our state police.
What does it mean on Twitter when someone replies to me, but I can't see it?
That wouldn't be different either.
Did they reply and then block me, or?
Yes, and we're going to take one more
Sometimes
round.
I see likes too, and then I go to my my likes and I don't see
Images are
anything.
going around on social media of some of the protesters and rioters celebrating indoors at the Alibi Bar, as well as the lobbies of some hotels across town, packed into crowds, not wearing masks. What is going to be done? What kind of fines are going to come to these businesses? I realize that the hotels can be a trickier situation, but with the Alibi, that is a bar that allowed for indoor dining, indoor drinking.
For 2 seconds. Hopefully they don't say any gamer
we'll
words on this stream, but I got to go get my groceries off the porch.
I saw one, for example, when we were driving around where that was the case. There may be hotel guests, and we will see what violations of their business license occurred. Any other? Yes, Mark.
Question for you, Mayor, and a question for the two gentlemen. Mayor, and I know you've been asked this in one way before, but what is your fear, after seeing what we saw yesterday, what is your fear that could happen on January 20th, and what steps might you take that we haven't seen thus far that you might be considering to maintain the peace? And do you think there should be a public ceremony?
Well, Mark, I think that we're obviously concerned about the 20th. We're concerned about the days leading up to the 20th. But I think we as Americans have to also ask ourselves, is this going to be a new normal in America, regardless of if Donald Trump is the president. Are people still going to be inspired to violence and to try to overthrow institutions of our government? So I think that frame for everybody has to reset, because it may not end on the 20th. And so that, for us, as we think about it as the nation's capital, that means a whole different level of policing. I sit before you right now with a force that's 3,700 strong, but shrinking. I sit before you with local laws that affect how we approach First Amendment demonstrations that may turn to riots. I sit before you with a $100 million bill that the federal government owes us from the last 4 years of helping the federal government police First Amendment demonstrations that are increasing in number and complexity. So all of those things, as we move forward, not just for the 20th, but as the mayor, the chief executive of the nation's capital, host to the federal government with a force that supports federal forces, we have a lot to think about if this is going to be a new normal in America.
With the chief and the secretary about intelligence, what can you tell us about the intelligence you had leading up to yesterday? And was there any intelligence that suggested that there would be an attempted breach of the U.S. Capitol?
There was no intelligence that suggested there would be a breach of the U.S. Capitol. The intelligence leading up to that, we won't talk specifically about the intelligence that we had, but we anticipated certainly that there would be an increased number of people into our city. In comparison to the previous two demonstrations, we certainly knew that. But in addition to that, the Metropolitan Police Department, under the mayor's leadership, not only did we activate the National Guard, but we also initiated mutual aid with several area law enforcement agencies before yesterday. So I think that's a really important note to make in terms of our preparation for this. So based on the intelligence, not only did we have the National Guard, but we had the National Guard and we had mutual aid services for D.C. residents, for Washington. I mean, that's really, really, really important. So I'll leave it right there.
And that was why Chief Conte requested us to support traffic control points at 30 separate locations on the north side of the city to prevent vehicular movement. We're still performing that mission. I was remiss not to mention that at the beginning. We have 850 on the Capitol grounds, as well as 90 additional personnel, 3 per location at traffic control points, largely on the north side of the city, from about 9th to 17th northwest. With respect to the posture leading in, we receive our intelligence from law enforcement agencies, whether they're federal or local.
They forgot some shit from my order.
There was the going in position that it would be somewhat similar to November 14th, December 12th, where the types of groups that were there, but had no wildest imagination that you could end up breaching the Capitol grounds.
Okay, that's our update. Thank you, everybody.
What is this? I put my headphones on. What's this fucking dubstep? All right, was that the end of the conference? Thanks, Coogan. I am a simp. I think I'm allowed to call myself a simp, right? Or is it like if I am a simp, I can use the word simp? All right, well, that's it for that. Wow, what a morning. What's something entertaining I can put on for you? Here we go. So if you guys are here and you've been a part of my former cooking streams, guess what? I have great news for you. For Christmas, I got a Dutch oven, an enameled Dutch oven. Always wanted one, and I'm super excited. So I'm going to celebrate by making beef bourguignon, and I am incredibly, incredibly excited. Like, I'm reporting a missing item. I don't want to fucking not get it. I need the item. So anyway, I was just talking about a cooking stream, and the big piece of the cooking stream is missing. But we're gonna do. We'll watch. Can you guys hear that donation sound? Okay, is it all right? This is what we're gonna be making. I'm gonna use the Marco Pierre White one because I love Marco and I love the way he talks.
The dish I'm going to prepare is a classic beef bourguignon, which is basically a beef stew cooked in red wine with mushrooms, bacon, and onions. It's that simple. The joint I'm using is a whole brisket, which I will chop into large chunks. That's my preference. You can buy small cubes from your butcher.
Thanks for the
supermarket.
sub.
As you can see, there's big nuts of fat. I'm quite happy leaving those in because when they're cooked and cooked properly, fat is delicious.
I have watched every single Knorr stock pot ad, Knorr touch of flavor, whatever, because of this man. Yeah, I love Marco. Marco is hey, United Terror. Thanks for coming back, buddy. So I love Marco. So I don't give a fuck, man. Like, I bet everything he makes here with these Knorr stock pods is better than most home cooks.
Me personally, I like large pieces. Because when you think that may seem like a very large piece, but once it's braised down, you'll be surprised how much it shrinks. As you can see, look at the fat coating. There's a mass of fat. But when you're going to braise something, you want that fat. Because cooked slowly for 3.5 to 4 hours, it's delicious. So try and braise with cuts with high content of fat. So, the oil.
You got it, Vic.
Okay, take your onion. And because we're going to be braising
Favorite
these
single
chunks
dish
for
I've
3
ever
to 4
eaten?
hours,
That's a really tough
it
one.
It doesn't have to be the finest chopped onion in the world.
That lucky camper.
Just break
Have I ever
down.
made beef rendang yet? I have not.
Get your pan incredibly hot. Because when you're going to put big chunks of meat into the pan, the amount of heat which will be taken out of the pan is enormous. If it's not hot enough, the meat will release its water and you'll just end up boiling your meat. It's a pointless exercise. As you can see, I've retained what you've got in them. Just chop too strong to the thickness of the stock pots.
It's really interesting seeing the different methods to making this shit.
Over for 3 hours 45 minutes, and then prepared our garnish.
He's got
the
this
mushrooms,
small
the
little
lardons,
trill
and the petit onion or the little onions. Very simple.
To his R's sometimes.
And there we have the classic beef bourguignon.
All right. Wait, I need a political stream. I need a political channel. Anyone got a YouTube stream going on for something politics related?
We have won this election in Georgia.
I think one thing political chefs do, or political chefs, Jesus Christ. Why do chefs say a little? I mean, because very often, like we think of salt and we've got our little salt shaker and we're like, just a few dashes. But what it really needs is a fucking pinch. But that is a little. Like, when I think of a lot as someone who now cooks a shit ton, when I think of a lot, I'm thinking of dry brining steak overnight. And so I'm literally covering this thing so it's almost white outside, right? I'm just really packing in the salt on it, and then I'm going to put it on the tray and whatnot. That's when I think of a lot of salt, or when I'm curing a pork belly overnight or something like that, right? Oh, I forgot I DoorDash food. But that said, yeah. Sorry, 1 second. I'm juggling a few things. That said, yeah. So like, it really isn't that much when they say, put a bit of whatever, and you just do that. It's actually not that much, depending on what you're cooking. Sorry, I got to log into Instacart. But yeah, no, we need to do some React Andy content. I mean, we got you here. We're politics. Yeah, we need to discuss the merits of U.S. immigration policy while making Brownings or turducken. I mean, I have. Well, that's what I was going to do today. Is while I cook the beef bourguignon, I was going to talk about like what's happening and all that shit. All right, let's see. I got into my profile. I need to find your orders. Order placed. Oh, see, this is so fucking stupid. Maybe you have to go to the Wegmans account. By the way, if you live anywhere near Wegmans, it's expensive, but it's good. January 7th today, right? Yep. View. How do I report an issue? And I don't think it's going to give me a chance to report this shit. Anyway. What's this one? Trump barred Pence's chief of staff from the White House after the president attacked Pence for not trying to overturn the election. What? I guess we got something to read. Give me 1 second. Okay. Boom, look at that. All right. Give me 2 seconds. It's not letting me. Maybe it's the browser thing. How would you rate your experience? Missing item. This was missed. All done. All right, we'll see if they respond. Cool, let's get into this. Trump barred Pence's chief of staff from the White House after the president attacked Pence for not trying to overturn the election. The TLDR of this, let me zoom. TLDR of this, Mark Short, Vice President Mike Pence's chief of staff, was barred from the White House on Wednesday after President Trump criticized Pence for refusing to attempt to overturn the election. Trump had urged Pence to challenge the Electoral College results, even though the vice president did not have the authority to do so. When Pence said that he would not go along with the president's demands, Trump said the vice president, quote, didn't have the courage to do what should have been done. How's that news voice? No, I don't like to leave negative reviews for like gig economy workers and shit like that. Like, you know, it feels fucking bad. But I do seek out corrections of bad orders, which reminds me, I'm going to go ahead and place another order because I need that chuck. I need that chuck. God damn it. How many pounds is this? Sorry, folks. All right, cool. We got the chuck. What else do we need? We need time. I didn't get time, so we'll add that to the order. I will finish this in a second. Let's go ahead and read the article. Vice President Mike Pence's chief of staff, Mark Short, was barred from the White House on Wednesday after President Donald Trump criticized Pence for refusing to attempt to overturn the election, Bloomberg journalists first reported. I am super curious why he would bar the fucking chief of staff for doing that, unless this is just escalation. Also, I heard that Trump unfollowed Pence. Does anyone know if that's true? On Twitter. Short said Trump barred him from the grounds because the president was blaming him for advice he gave to Pence, according to the Real Clear Politics reporter Philip Wegman. Short did not immediately respond to a request for comment from Insider. Pence was tasked with overseeing a joint session of Congress on Wednesday in which the Electoral College votes, already certified by all 50 states, would be counted in a process that is usually nothing more than procedural. It's incredible how we have to stop and reflect on how important these moments are for our country because of the shit that Trump has done. Before, this was just a boring, as expected. And, this would have been way more exciting and relevant if people had said, hey, we as your electors, the Electoral College, have deemed that Donald Trump is not the president, even though he's for our party. Both parties come together and say, we've realized that the American people have been duped, and I might have been cool with that. That would have been a moment for something like this to happen, but no, and just a general democratically elected blah, blah, blah. I mean, the point of the Electoral College to me was to stop someone like Trump from becoming a thing, but here we are. Anyway, Trump had urged Pence to challenge the results during the session, even though the vice president did not have the authority to do so. Before the session, which was interrupted by a violent mob of Trump supporters, Pence released a statement saying he would not be following Trump's demands. It is my considered judgment that my oath to support and defend the Constitution constrains me from claiming unilateral authority to determine which electoral votes should be counted and which should not, he said. The president responded, criticizing Pence in a tweet that has since been hidden by Twitter. Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands truth. God, I hate Trump's Twitter. The vice president is thought to be considering a presidential run in 2024, though his political ambitions could become complicated by Trump's criticism near the end of their term. And that's it. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. This president of our United States, of these here United States, calling for dissent against a democratic election. But at the same time, who's surprised? Lycan isn't. Are you surprised? You shouldn't be. Fuck. Super curious. I tell you what, if I've picked up anything from Destiny's vernacular, it's been fucking super curious. What are you talking about? That was a clothing store. Let's see. I'm trying to find a stream to watch. I mean, that doesn't surprise me, Taco Bees. They were obviously surprised, right? I don't think they expected it to devolve to this. I don't. Like, the Proud Boys have come and, and held a pretty violent, as far as street scuffles go, some pretty violent events. But I don't think have ever escalated to this. Oh my God, young Ian McKellen. That's weird.
Some fucking commie gobbledygook.
All right, we got to order. We have to order our herbs.
Sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Thank you for the follows. Your wrist and ISO. Herbs. I want fresh herbs. God darn it. I got my sage.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Oh, just it. Overwatch, I assume. Thank you. Oh, we need tomato paste.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Sausages, tomatoes, nice crispy bacon. We saved some for you, Mr. Frodo. Put it out, you fools. Put it out. Oh, that's nice. Ashes of my tomatoes. And then you hear the screech. Sorry, I can't help myself. Tomato paste. Yeah, it was the National Guard, Faded Rob. But the thing is it was the National Guard, if I'm not mistaken, days, if not weeks after violent protests had been erupting around the country. Like, there was a little more precursor before all that. Man. The coat from the Ian Miles Chong folks. Hello. Hello, Iron Mage. Hey, thank you, Warlord, for the follow. What about second breakfast? Okay, sorry. I want tomato paste in a tube because Cento, by the way, is my favorite brand of the shit of canned tomatoes and tomato products. Let's see. I think we've got everything after that. 2 things of tomato paste, some thyme, some rosemary, and then our beef chuck. I don't think I need anything else. Do you guys want anything? Do you need anything? No? You good? All right. This happens every fucking time I order. So I'm going to start like texting these people like, please don't leave shit in your car. Like, I can't tell you how many times in December and November my bread was forgotten. What's that for, class? Oh, no. Oh, no. Good idea. Fuck. No. Fuck. A few details. Modify order. Okay. Hold on. I gotta modify before I check out. Potatoes. Potatoes. Mash and boil them. Sick them in a stew. We say some for you, Mr. Frodo. Put it out, you food. I'm sorry. I won't do that again. Okay. We got it. We got our potatoes. Check out. And I'll change my tip because I'm not a prick. And we are almost done. I'll play you guys a song after this. All right, there we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my beef bourguignon, and then I'm going to make some potato puree. We're going to put that on there. Well, I'm not tipping the cashier. I'm tipping the driver that has to come all the way out here and feed me. Speaking of feeding me, my Chipotle should be here soon. If someone wants to find a stream, like if there's some good political content, if there's a press briefing happening, I wouldn't be against that. I use light. I use light gauge from Elixir. So it's 0.012 to 0.053. I haven't used. I should restring this bitch.
Someone's at front door.
Uh-oh. It sounds like Chipotle's here. I'm going to give them a second to walk the fudge away. It is. It is Chipotle. It also looks like someone else is contacting me. Your order was dropped off. Thank you. Come again. Wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. You could cut ties with all the lies that you've been living in. And if you do not want to see me again, I will understand. Yeah, I will understand. Yeah. Chipotle on the front porch now, and I think I'm gonna go eat like a cow and chew that shit, yeah. Gonna eat the Mexican food I like. I don't care if you're black or white. That shit's delicious, yeah. Everyone I know has got a reason to say, get the Chipotle away. Wish you would come down here, deliver it to me, so I can eat it from the comfort of my stream. But you are a stranger and a delivery driver, so stay out of my house. Stay the fuck out my house. Well, he's a chubby little bitch, I know, and he wants to have Chipotle now, but he's playing guitar. But it's just upstairs a few seconds away, and I have to say this, my friend, you are a lazy twat. Actually, I'm gonna go get it now. Hold on. Don't look at my butt, chat. Stop. Stop. I will understand. I will understand. Well, he's on the table and he's gone to code, and I do not think anyone knows what they are. Wait. How did I die? GOP rep calling for removal of what, Trump? So, I mean, it's not really good looking, but you got the guacamole, the vegetables, corn salsa, and chicken. And then I did the cauliflower rice and black beans. That's a stupid amount of food. More than one man should eat. All right. Let's watch this and see what he has to say while we eat. Yesterday, all my problems seem so far away.
Today was a sad day, as we all know. It was the day where fire stoked by the president and other leaders finally leapt out of the pit, and it lit the trees. Thankfully, the strength of our Constitution and democracy held, and we emerged today a little battered, but resolved. What happened yesterday is a wake-up call to many, but it's a call to accountability for others. In the past few presidencies, the administrations have been so concerned about even a moment of weakness that the 25th Amendment was invoked during minor surgeries, passing the duties to the vice president while the president was under anesthesia, because even for that moment to have the captain of the ship absent could cause a major catastrophe. Sadly, yesterday, it became evident that not only has the president abdicated his duty to protect the American people and the people's house, he invoked and inflamed passions that only gave fuel to the insurrection that we saw here. When pressed to move and denounce the violence, he barely did so, while of course victimizing himself and seeming to give a wink and a nod to those doing it. All indications are that the president has become unmoored, not just from his duty, nor even his oath, but from reality itself. It is for this reason that I call for the vice president and members of the cabinet to ensure the next few weeks are safe for the American people, and that we have a sane captain of the ship. Section 4 of the 25th Amendment allows a majority of the cabinet and the vice president to assume the duties of the office of presidency until the president is able to himself. It's time to invoke the 25th Amendment and to end this nightmare. We will arise from this, but we cannot forget what led us here. The liars and conspiracy authors are already at it again this morning with false narratives about yesterday's disaster. Here's the truth. The president caused this. The president is unfit, and the president is unwell. And the president must now relinquish control of the executive branch voluntarily or involuntarily. God bless you, and God bless our enduring democracy.
I don't know this guy, so I don't know his history. Hello, Dan. That podcast has been on hiatus for a while now, but I appreciate your concern for my content. Good morning to you, friend. With regards to this dude, I don't know his history, so this is one of those moments where I want to see how much has he flirted with Trump's bad shit for his own benefit. But that said, I see someone in the comments saying, come over to the other side, Adam. We have cookies and decency left. And then someone else responds with something about, like, all decent Americans should be switching to being Republicans. I don't know what this person's talking about. I think if I understand what they're saying don't force everyone out of the GOP. Force the shitty people out of the GOP. And I can be okay with that, because I think my ideal American turn is that we have come to a point where people leave the Republican Party. I'm sorry. What I don't like the idea of is all the good people leaving the Republican Party, becoming liberals, and then we just have that fucking party of psychos that a bunch of people are still going to support. I'd rather the Republicans deal with their shit, get over hating gays, hating black people, hating other people of color, and changing their views on a lot of stuff that we have found through science and data and whatever else is the proper way to handle things, such as the drug war, such as prison reform, police reform, etc. And then we can just go to fucking debating about, policy and philosophy on how to handle certain issues, where it's not them denying that these issues exist, not denying that these issues are a problem, but instead focusing on the good stuff, which is How do we handle it? I would like us to handle it this way. I would like us to handle it that way. That's the kind of conversations I want, not this partisan bullshit. So I think this is a pivotal point for the Republican Party where we can hope that they turn their shit around and they oust all these fuckers that would in any way not denounce or have a come to Jesus moment about what led to yesterday's events. You want to be the next guest, Harkdan? Exactly. Like, I want to, like I could see a world where conservatives are arguing that, hey, colleges, exceeded the inflation rate as they jacked up for-profit prices to match the demand of college rather than, what it actually costs to run a college, right? They see that more and more people are being told as they grow up from the 80s on, you have to get a degree, you have to go to college, you have to do what I didn't do, you have to seek a high-skilled job, whatever. And colleges, in turn, profited off of it. A much simpler but similar example is when states started making it required that everyone have auto insurance premiums went up. It's natural. It's business. It's the world. But I think I could see a world where the government tries to maybe subsidize, like the left wants to subsidize or manage student debt or remove student debt. And conservatives want to just, handle the people here now and then put some regulation. I know, conservatives, regulation, right? And put some regulations on schools where they have to like reel in their prices to kind of make it so a student can actually afford to work and go to school without killing themselves. Maybe we need a reform of college. Like we always argue about, well, you need a well-rounded education. I can agree with that. I think everyone should. I think we should be exposed to new ideas and new subjects, and you shouldn't just go into school and focus on like your IT courses, right? But maybe 4 years is a little much. Maybe reduce the amount of unnecessary courses. Jesse, did you ask a question? I'm sorry, I missed it. It was a Dan sandwich. I was focused more on that sexy man from Florida than I was on you. I apologize. Not that you aren't very noteworthy. Do you want to see a lot more arrests? I want those people. Every person that can be identified needs to be arrested and charged. And tried. I don't know what statute insurrection is charged under, but yeah, I think anyone participating in that. Now here's like my charitable take, right? My charitable take is that I don't think we should be looking for blood for all 100,000 people should be locked up, jailed, insurrection, right? Some people just get caught up in the moment, but I think a lot of people do need to be charged with like some sort of attempted treason. Oh, you're such a cunt. You know that? You know that, Jesse? I just want you to know that. I know I don't have chat on screen, so anyone watching the VOD, he wasn't actually concerned if I want to see a lot more arrests. He made a D's nuts joke. Yes. Attempted coup as they came for the votes. They came to disrupt the certification of the election. It does bother me. Like, Ted Cruz's wife was insulted by Trump. And I would love to know what conversation happened between him and his wife.
But it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
I want to know what conversation happened between Ted Cruz and his wife after that, where Ted's like, listen, I know he's a piece of shit, but I can't shit on him because he's now the party. Or I don't know. There had to have been some moment. I can't imagine any of my partners that would have been okay with me just letting him shit talk them on national TV and me not say a single fucking thing about it. Ooh, does anyone have a link to Holly's speech? I heard that was fucking wicked. In a bad way. He's definitely Trump's cuck, that's for sure. Oh yeah. Every time I see Nick Fuentes from a relatively mainstream conservative pundit, I get acknowledgement. It makes me really, really sad. Sorry, G Bud B. I wasn't reading Oh, okay, cool. So I see your earlier I'm seeing some of your comments. Let me see what we got here. If Trumpers' only hope was for senators to object to the vote, then why would they stop that from happening? Again, outside influences instigated, agitated just at the right moment, which changed votes. Police shot innocents and no objections, but no rioting, burning cities either. I'm sorry. You can get, I'll focus on this chat and look out for your message, but if you can tell me what you're talking about, that would be really cool. Pretty please. What's this? Many journalists are falsely claiming that I was photographed in Nancy Pelosi's office with baked Alaska. This is fake news. I did not enter the Capitol building. I was outside on the lawn wearing a completely different outfit. Defamation. Oh, yeah, no. Wait, hold on. That seems to be the case. I mean, was that him outside? I don't know. I want proof that that was from that day, because that really looks like Nick Fuentes. I mean, it looks just like Nick Fuentes, but at the same time. I'm sorry. I must be taking stupid pills. I still don't get it, G-Bud, but I love you. I did think it was fucking hilarious that that might have been Fuentes. Thanks, Quentin Talentimo. Baked Alaska. I only know of him because of Destiny. Oh, sorry. Got to shit talk someone on Twitter. Yeah, fairly. Just because you didn't win doesn't mean it wasn't fair. Sorry, buddy. Buddy. Yes, rather than yeah. Boom. Got him. Medium rare Alaska. Look at the second photo again. His ears look photoshopped. Hold on. Nah, look, it's hard to see from this screen, but right here, I can see a beard. I mean, that looks like whatever person is behind him has a beard. Oh, wait. Yeah, so there's, okay, look. Wait, hold on. This motherfucker might have photoshopped it. Hold on. So, what is this person right here? Look at these legs, right? Watch this. Look at this. Hold on. Right here. So you have Nick Fuentes. He's facing this way. But look at these feet. What are these feet? And what are these shadows? I don't think these match up. This is fucking photoshopped. Hold on. I'm not good at Photoshop. So here's Nick Fuentes saying that this is him outside during all of this. Everything looks fine up here. But now here's one thing. So to go to your ear thing, here's this dude. Now he's turned this way, but his head could still be like snapped to the right. And there are other people like looking this way. Him. So there could be something over there they're looking at. So that dude back there, legit. Nick, maybe it's just me, but I feel like that boot looks kind of weird. I feel like the shadow right there looks kind of weird. Am I overthinking it? Like, I mean, those steps are pretty long, right? Like, so there is room for that person's foot to be back there. Nick's. I'm just saying this looks weird. Like, it doesn't. This looks normal. This looks weird. So almost like there's a slight shade difference. Like, where's Nick's other foot pointed? Perfectly behind here? Maybe. Maybe. Oh, GTD. I have an old contract, so I can do political non-gaming content on both YouTube and this. Can you see the heel of his other foot? Because I see dude's shoes behind him. I don't see his other heel. Maybe right here is his pant leg. Oh, is that what you're saying is his heel? You know what? Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I don't think we're like Reddit detectiving this or anything right now, but just that looks weird to me. The ear is fine. Like, there's obviously a person there, like real close to him. Also, all these dumb fucks not wearing masks. No surprise. This guy looks like fucking Proud Boy as fuck, but like the dapper Proud Boy. I hate defending Nick. No, hey, I defend Nick all you want because I don't like not having accuracy in what we're doing and talking about. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Turn off window capture.
Thank you.
Picture in picture. Okay.
Thank you. Let's go. And it's yoga season. Yoga season. Let's go. Okay. America first is inevitable. Let's go. Fuck globalists. Let's go. Trump. Let's call Trump. Yes. Dude, let's tell Trump what's up.
Trump would be very upset.
And he'd be like, no, just say we love him. We love you, bro. No, he'll be happy. What do you mean? We're fighting for Trump. Hey, hold up.
I can't get an outside line. I can
call the U.S. Senate, apparently. Okay.
Imagine not knowing to dial *7, *97, *9, *91. Like, those are like the three most common dialing out things. Not one of these monkeys can figure it out.
Hello, U.S. Senate. Yes, we have a fraudulent election. I would like to report. Yeah, we need to get our boy Donald J. Trump into office. Yeah, can we do that real quick? Oh yeah. Oh, thank you. Let's go. And it's yoga season. Yoga season. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't think that's Fuentes. I don't think that's him. I think he said yoga season, unless Yoma is some dog whistle I'm not aware of. Fuck. Hold on. I need to buy more Bitcoin. Someone needed some Bitcoin for something, so I gave him my Bitcoin, and I didn't reinvest after they gave me the money back for it, and I regret this. No, it was just another streamer, and I don't want to out their business. I don't actually know exactly what it was, but listen, they didn't borrow a lot from me, but the amount they were looking for was way too much to buy drugs. Unless this person is risking his multi-million-dollar streaming career for fucking drugs. Which, hey, you know what? Wouldn't be the dumbest thing a streamer had ever done. I know, Quentin, I know. Oh, okay, G-Dub, or G-Bud. Listen, the mainstream media is fine. The mainstream media is fine. You're not making... I'm just seeing your points now. We protest for the third time this year, and it's sedition. Listen, lefties are effed and hit. Okay, cool. So we have to have this conversation. Give me 1 second. You know what's funny? There was a clip of someone where like they went off stream, then they got up like that. Like I was just wiping my nose. That's all I was doing. And I wonder if that person was doing the same fucking thing. I think it was like gross score or some shit. Like, or no, it was some girl. I don't know. Either way, like maybe I just don't want to be gross and fucking wipe my nose in front of y'all. Read my last message. Ooh. Yoba, Year of Baked Alaska. Well, that's cringe. Extra pre-trading is about to be nuked. I have 14 links and 344 stellar lumens. I wonder if either of those are ever going to fucking go up. Huh. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, G-Bot. I got distracted. Someone said something about Bitcoin. Simp would be letting off. I don't even know if you're here, but we're gonna go through this real quick. All right. So, listen. You sound like the kind of person that would completely disregard the idea that there was a necessary reason for protests over the summer. The fact of the matter is that George Floyd was murdered in cold blood in front of the American people. There was a reason to be really fucking upset and to demand fucking police reform. And one thing we've seen over the last 10 plus years is that Black people can get killed, and there will be nothing done about it. Force is used disproportionately against black people, from the most minor things such as fucking marijuana possession to more serious things. Black people are disproportionately aggressed upon by police. So yeah, there's a big fucking problem. And there's a big fucking problem when police might get off with that shit. So yeah, after George Floyd was kneeled on for 9 fucking minutes, 8 minutes, whatever the fuck it was way too long. When that happens, yes, the people need to rise up and make their voice heard, because just demanding accountability has been proven again and again to not be enough. So when the police then start to escalate things by gassing peaceful protesters, by disregarding the voice of the people, yes, things escalate. There is a significant difference between a known problem, such as police brutality, over-policing of black communities, bad relationships between the police murder, and police getting off for that murder, whether it's being protected by their unions or protected by the corruption within their department. That's a known, necessary issue to be addressed, and one that apparently required some people really getting fucking out there every time it occurred for their voice to be heard. The difference between that and what is happening here is that these people stormed one of our most sacred buildings on one of our most sacred days for the sake of their dumb conspiracy theories that were set. The stage was set by Trump. It was fueled by Trump. It was fueled by Giuliani, and it was enabled by every Republican politician that refused to speak out against it. So, yes, there really isn't a counterpoint that you're making. End of story. There isn't. There's no counterpoint. This fucking was not a necessary protest. This was not a similar example to the Black Lives Matter protests. And now, the riots, like, I'll condemn the riots, absolutely. The riots were bad. The riots were horrible. I don't think they should have happened. Or at the very least, they shouldn't have been directed towards any sort of private property. It should have all been towards government property. But that's not what happened. The riots definitely went too far. And it hurt the message. And we know this. So we have to get better with our messaging, don't we? But yeah. So at the end of the day, QED, as JLP is saying, I don't understand your fucking point. This was not the same. This was insurrection. This was an attempted coup. This was now I'm not labeling this as the entire right, but I am saying this was a radical group attempting to damage our electoral process. Period. End of story. QED. You've been exposed by me. QED.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
One second. Okay. Do you think Republicans like Cruz and Halley should be removed from their office? Honestly, I do. But the problem is, like, how do we show the American people that it was a measured decision? How do we show the American people that, hey, yeah, you toy with our democracy, you get punished, but this isn't us punishing those who spoke out against a stolen election, right? Because we have to be very careful with the narratives that are going to get spun. There's a lot of information that we aren't able to control. Like in GTV, you recently gifted me a sub for Arison's channel. You remember what I said to you after that? Sid Machinery, I do not, unfortunately. I usually, gift and dip out. So I apologize. Yeah, no public executions and no martyrs. That's again why I'm glad the police were. Hey, thanks for the sub, Sid. I appreciate it. That's why I'm glad that they didn't unload. That's not what we want. Doing nothing is bad, leftist Al, but we have to do the right thing. I don't want a civil war. I don't want any kind of major destruction to our country to come from this. And we can't just say, you're going to act with full force against these people and stop them, because that's not how this works. And we have shown through history, like we won the Civil War, right? And then we went through the Reconstruction era. And after the Reconstruction era, the South took a fucking super nasty turn. And we later paid for that, for the next 100 years, right? Up until the Civil Rights Movement. We're still paying for shit that happened after the Reconstruction era. There's always a backlash. The most recent one we can point to is 2010 and the Tea Party, right? That Tea Party uprising was based on the stupid conspiracy theories about Barack Obama's birth origin. And probably the fact that these people couldn't believe that Barack Obama won. We're going to see that again. Even if Trump had conceded to peaceful turnover, we'd still be having to prepare for that, because that's what's going to happen. And we're going to have to deal with it. So we have to be... Listen, Jesse. Yeah, as justly as possible. And to me, as justly as possible is charging these people with insurrection, or a certain number of them anyway, with insurrection, putting them in jail, and finding some way to get our government to move on from this, but not ignore the problem, to fix it, to address it. I don't think anyone's justified in the guillotine memes. I don't think anyone's justified in hanging memes on either side whatsoever. Did you watch all the state's hearings live or have any background in statistics? What do you mean, Crazy Canuck Jr.? I did watch some of the hearings live, absolutely, especially Michigan. That's one I remember the most. It was a fucking farce. Killing people is cringe. Political violence is cringe. And rarely necessary. So you don't think it'd ever be justified for the working class to take up arms against the state? No, I don't do class warfare shit. I don't think that I don't think right now, let me better answer that. I don't think right now we are at anywhere near a point where workers need to be taking up arms. Could it be a thing in the future? Sure, but I don't think the working class is what it is, unless you count the working class as everyone making, the 99%, right? I think that society might, which is why I'm pro Second Amendment, but I think that society and the working class neither are anywhere near a point where that needs to be part of a discussion. I think we're becoming too woke, and I don't mean that in a mocking way. I mean genuinely, we're becoming too aware of systemic problems in society. We are on the precipice of what could be a revolution in how the American people are treated, both from a class standpoint and a racial standpoint. That if we hadn't had Donald Trump here, or maybe hell, he helped progress it, and if we find a way out of this quagmire that he's created, perhaps we can move forward with some really great stuff. We'll find out. But I think that society is in a place where we could definitely handle the socioeconomic problems of the American people without a rise to violence. And the only reason violence should be in anyone's mind right now is the fear of oncoming violence from the radical right. I'm not saying you're saying revolution now, but I am saying it's so far removed from this moment in history that it's the same with my stance on the Second Amendment. The American people might one day have to rise up against the government. That's why I don't think the weapons should be tracked beyond making sure that there are certain safeguards so that weapons aren't in the hands of the wrong people. But otherwise, I do think there might be a time when that comes. And I don't think it's our lifetime. At least I hope it's not. Yeah, no, them storming the Capitol building, absolutely. But I mean, it's one of those, and I hate repeating myself because I want this video to be something fresh throughout if someone actually sits and watches the whole thing. But I think that not giving them martyrs is one of the most important things that happened yesterday. They gave them a martyr, but not giving them many martyrs. Like, if 12 people had died, Boston Massacre 2.0, right there, handed to them on a silver platter. 12 people unnecessarily dead, just to satiate the bloodlust of people who think that they should have been treated the way that BLM people were, even though I don't remember the BLM riots ever having cops just willy-nilly fire and killing 10 people or anything like that, right? And I have a problem with how BLM riots were handled by the police, like the tear gassing of peaceful protesters, then leading to riots, the rubber bulleting of peaceful protesters. I have issues with the way BLM riots were treated, but I don't believe in making false equivalencies just because they feel emotionally validating. Chat rises up against me all the time, Feznet. I don't know if you're just one of my chatters or if you're from the DGG community. I agree with your comment about complex problems and simple people. I don't agree with your George Soros comment, but I'm assuming that's a meme. Is that what DGG? Hold on one second. Sorry. I have my friend messaging me saying, hey, fuckboy. I had told my new Instacart shopper, I was like, please don't fucking... hold on. They don't have the time that I need. Don't have the time. Get it? Fuck. Is there fresh time here? I just need time. More time. I need to make my bouquet garni. Well, Leftist Al, that isn't very DGGL of you. However, I'm also a Vosh. I have an account in the Vosh stream. So, both sides. Bitch, I made a fucking purchase. I have to work on that. Room temperature take. The DC police, not that bad. They handled both the Chaz stuff and last night's rally as well as possible without escalating shit. I agree. And again, I want to say, like, one of the reasons we're not seeing the same reaction like we did with, like, BLM riots is because the BLM riots were precipitated by days, if not weeks, of rioting, right? So places where there weren't nasty, bad riots happening still prepared for the riots because of what was happening around the country. And as far as I remember, at least 2 rallies have happened since DC or since Trump lost the election that didn't devolve to this level, you know, with targeting of federal property and shit. Hold on.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook. No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
I might have a guy come on to talk about guns. Give me 1 second. Oh, all these follows. Thank you. Did I get hosted or something? No. Dusty, Tony, Oxy, thank you. Do not use my real name. You've got it, Jose. It's funny because his name's not Jose.
What?
What's up, handsome?
Nothing, dude. What's up?
Howdy. Can I use your screen name?
Yeah, it's fine.
Cool. Chat, this is Sneaky. This is Chat. So we were talking, Sneaky and I were talking offline. I've wanted to get a rifle for a while. I haven't had one since the Marine Corps, but you technically don't have them then, so whatever. So I asked the question this morning, what he thought about the SCAR, and he started giving me shit. So we're going to continue from there. Go ahead, buddy.
I mean, here's the thing, man. The SCAR is a $3,100 rifle that doesn't do anything better than an AR-15, like than a quality AR-15 at half the price. But the problem is you live in a state that highly restricts what you can have, which I'm not going to debate the politics of it just because, well, there's no point. Other than I think it's stupid. But
I agree.
But the thing is the SCAR a good rifle? Yes. Is it going to last you as many? Will you ever will you ever shoot out the barrel after replace components on it? Probably not. Are there some inherent issues with the whole system and how it's designed? And could you get a bad rifle because of just, tolerance stacking and stuff like that? Sure, but bottom line is yeah, the rifle's fine. I ran the full auto ones when I was contracting the SCAR L, which is the SCAR 16, the civilian version, and they're fine. They're a short stroke piston system, so it's. I don't want to say it's like an AK, but it's similar to how an AK operates as far as like the piston and all that stuff goes. It's not a gas impingement piston like the AR.
So what if I wanted? So here's what I want. I want like mid to long range accuracy. Like I don't want it to just be short range.
Well, okay. Well, what do you consider long range? Because what I consider long range and what you consider long range are very different, probably.
I think if the KD
like let's put it this way, I consider long range anything that's over 500 yards.
Okay, cool. I want to make it. I want to be effective at 500 at least.
Okay, you will be marginally effective at 500 with a SCAR. You're an AR-15 in all reality, an AR-15 with good matched bullets or a defensive load is really only going to be good out to 200 yards.
Right, which is why that's it. Okay, so is there a model you'd recommend other than the SCAR? Or
well,
AR-15?
the problem is we have to then look at the list of, and I don't know if people know where you live. I don't want to dox
They know
you.
I live in Maryland. That's fine.
Okay, so here's the inherent issue. Maryland bans anything that's like an AR that doesn't have what's called a heavy barrel, and a heavy barrel is considered 0.836 inch diameter or heavier, up to like 950 or 920 or something like that, 0.920. So almost an inch all the way around. It's weird rules. It's whatever. Again, not going to debate the craziness of it, but so it severely limits your market.
Okay.
So let's take. I'm going to take a quick look at that list real quick.
So also, as of right now, I am living in Maryland, but I'm considering Texas. So
well, if you go to Texas, dude, seriously, if you go to Texas, I know people that I can get you hooked up with a custom AR. So
okay,
like you can basically just get whatever you want, and they will, yeah.
Yeah, I know Texas is way easier. This is for, as of right now, it's not a set in stone thing. So
you still got to go through background checks no matter where you go. I mean, there's still the whole 4473, and you there's all that stuff. You're still not immune from the law.
Oh, I'm not trying to look at anything.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people think that, but it's no matter what, if you're going through a dealer, you're filling out a 4473 or whatever. Anyway, honestly, like this is sort of like old song and dance, but the AR-15 platform, for lack of a better term, is the most modular, the best platform that you can buy a rifle in. And there's a reason the military hasn't ditched it yet, and they're only just now really looking at going away from it. And they're only looking at going away from it because they see a lethality gap as far as caliber is concerned. Not because the 5.56 is not deadly enough, but more because they found engagements in Afghanistan and Iraq and other places around the world, not just there, that, you know, people that our adversaries are learning that if they get close to us, we will cut them down. But if they stay far away, we have sort of a gap there where we can't really. We can hit them at, like, you know, 1,000, but we can't hit them past 500 with standard weapons. So it's really weird. It's actually an interesting conversation they're having right now at USASOC and some other places with U.S. Army Special Operations Command and AFSOC and you know, all the tier one units.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking at moving to a 6mm cartridge to sort of close that gap. But anyway, back on track. Back on track, if you're going to get a firearm in Maryland and you want it to be a rifle, most likely you just need to find an AR that's not on the list, that's basically a heavy barrel AR, or you, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with a heavy barrel AR in 16 inches. It's just you're going to add about 10 ounces of weight. So instead of being 6.5 pounds, it's going to be like 7.1 pounds or something like that. It's not that bad. You know, there's just there's certain things you're going to want to look for. If you get a SCAR, it's going to be about $3,500.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you're going to want an optic because let's get real, dude. When's the last time you looked through a set of iron sights on a rifle?
The last time I had to.
Yeah, exactly. Last time you had to qual. And so the issue there is iron sights are not hard to use, but it's easier just to get a quality red dot and put the dot on the thing you want to shoot at and shoot at it.
Exactly. Yep.
That's just how it is. So you're gonna spend about $4,000 if you want a SCAR and you want a decent dot.
Okay. What about caliber? Like
5.56, nothing but 2.23 or 5.56. Period. Just stick with that.
Is there? Go ahead.
You don't want to go with any kind of like weird loadings or stuff like that, because here's the problem. And again, politics aside, with COVID, we saw a rush on ammo and components. I was smart. I reload, so I was smart enough to sort of see the writing on the wall in February, and I bought basically enough reloading components for my competition shooting and long range shooting for the next 2 years, because I sort of saw the writing on the wall, even regardless of who won the election. I saw the writing on the wall. Even if Trump would have won, we would still have a shortage. There's guaranteed. But people are now in ultra fear buying mode because they think, you know, whether it's going to happen or not, they think there's going to be a new automatic or a new assault weapons ban, which, you know, there's been sort of signalings that there will be. Again, politics aside, I'm not going to debate whether it's good or bad. It's just, you know, now President Biden in '94 was a huge proponent of a assault weapons ban, and that lasted for 10 years. And the only reason that sunsetted after 10 years was because the Democratic congressional leadership that basically was also that they were Democrats in a red state. They knew they would lose their Senate seats if they made it permanent, right? Like it's that's clear cut. That's right. that's like the truth. Period.
I want to real quick tell chat. Sneaky isn't like a Turner Diaries reading fucking dude. He's just very smart and well aware of what happens in the gun market.
Fuck all that QAnon shit and fuck all that dumb shit. You know, fuck that. Fuck all those people.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is just if you look at previous laws and what they have done, what they've tried to do, they are very targeted on this, whether it's for the right reasons or not. And so it's going to be sort of a rallying cry, especially after all the idiots that stormed the Capitol. You know, whether we agree with them or not, you know, there is some violence there and there's been some issues. So it's going to be a rallying cry.
Okay. Yeah. No. It is definitely.
But,
which is,
and to lead on to that, the biggest issue is you're going to see a shortage. You're seeing a massive shortage. The thing is, all these ammo plants, ATK, Federal, CCI Spear, Winchester, Olin Corporation, all those guys that make ammo domestically, they have been running 24/7, 365 for the last 10 years. And they were almost to the point where they were caught up and ammo prices were back down to normal, and then COVID hit and it just wiped everything out. It wiped it out.
What is it that makes that a thing? Like, what makes it so that, like, is it resources?
So it's fear. It's the same reason why people panic buy toilet paper.
No.
Dude.
What I mean is, why can't they? If they were doing that for 10 years, what stopped them from like creating 4 more plants and catching up?
Because they're extremely highly regulated. And you got to realize a lot of the big plants are actually government plants that just produce overrun, like Lake City here in where I live in the Midwest. And I just sort of gave away where I live. I live in the Missouri, Casey Mo area. Lake City produces like almost all the ammo for the military, right? Well, they're operated by, I can't remember if it's ATK or who operates them now, but they're a normal ammo company, right? So they not only produce for the military, they produce for us. Well, military contracts will always take priority. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, that's not all manufacturers, but you know, they take priority. And you know, if the military needs to fill a 600,000 round order, which 600,000 rounds sounds like a lot, but it's not if you have an entire Marine battalion shooting qual day in
exactly,
yep, straight, you'll burn right through that with your table 1 and table 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, does the military have enough ammo to continually have World War III for the next 10 years without having to produce more? Of course. I mean, yeah, but you know, it's one of those things you stockpile for a reason.
Yep.
The biggest issue is people are panic buying, and people are also buying to sell online at prices up. Basically they're price gouging, which it's whatever, capitalism, baby, you know. But the big thing is right now, if you're trying to get into the gun game, it's going to be hard. For instance, what I call plinking ammo, practice ammo for an AR or a SCAR, whatever you want to use. So 5.56/223, which are very much interchangeable calibers, but that's a whole different talk.
Mm-hmm.
But 55 grain 223 used to be you could find it for about 23 cents a round, about 27 cents a round shipped for just the shitter ammo that you just want to go practice with. If you can find it in stock now, it's $1 a round. Jesus,
that sounds like a lot.
So you used to be able to buy 1,000 rounds. 1,000 rounds would last a normal person shooting for a year, and you know, you'd be able to find 1,000 rounds for about $240, $260 shipped around there, maybe $300 at the most shipped, right? Now you can't find it, and if you do find it, it's $1,000 for 1,000 rounds, and that's just crap ammo.
That sounds so fucking bad.
It's pretty bad, and the worst part is there's a lot of conspiracy theorists going, oh, you know, these ammo companies are trying to hold back the ammo for whatever space alien QAnon bullshit reason. It's like, no, like the president of Federal Ammunition actually made a YouTube video saying this is not what we are doing. We are running 24/7, 365 to produce ammo for all of you. And he's like, no one takes precedent. We produce as much as we can to get it into your hands. And people were just bashing him, and it's ridiculous because he's a really good guy. And I mean, this is a company that produces millions of rounds a month, and it's just people think there's some grand conspiracy, and it's not. It's just people are buying everything. There were 39 million background checks this last year. 39 million.
Jesus.
You know, and there's a statistic, and I can't leak it right now, but I read up on it. There were over like 30 million, there were like 10 million new gun owners last year.
Man, I wonder how many of those are like, because the QAnon numbers have like quadrupled or some shit since. Like,
actually, here, let me bring it up.
Yeah. Are you able, like, is it legal where you are to make your own ammo?
Yeah, I produce all my own ammo. It's not. You can actually produce your own ammo everywhere. It's
okay, I just didn't want to say it. I knew you did. I didn't want to say it if it wasn't.
No, it's fine. No, producing your own ammo is completely legal. So I'm sorry. So It looks like there were 5 million first-time gun owners in 2020, right?
Damn.
And there was I can't find it right now, but there was a statistic that like something like a third of them were African American, and then half of those African American gun owners were women, and then another fifth of them overall were women. So you had hundreds of thousands of women buying guns. And I mean, I just think it's an interesting statistic because I mean, if we get real, you know, most female, a lot of females and a lot of African American people they lean Democratic. You know what I mean? So you have people that probably voted for Biden, and you know, which is fine, that are new gun owners now because I think they're realizing the importance of maybe taking your own security into your own hands.
Well, you know what? I don't know to what degree I can make a joke, so I'm not going to make it. But I just want people to know that I'm not smirking because women are getting guns.
No, it's just interesting because it's, you know, there are a few people, and I'm not going to name them, but there are people that come to me and they're like, I want a gun, and I'm like, okay, you know, hold the phone. Why? You know, I always ask that question, why? Because I used to be a firearms trainer, and I was a cop for a little while, you know, did military contracting. I did the whole gamut of all the dumb stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, people don't realize a gun's not an answer for everything. A gun is a last resort item, especially if you're considering it for self-defense. And, you know, my worry is, you know, people want to use it for self-defense, but they don't want to train with it. They want to go shoot 6 rounds out of a revolver, call it good, and just carry it around. And, you know, that's their right, but there's a lot of legal issues with that. When you have to use a gun in a defensive manner, it changes your life, no matter if you're in the right or the wrong. Like, it's life-changing. Even if it's a completely justified shoot, for instance, you will be in the legal system battling, you know, civil suits for 2 to 3 years minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you live in a state that has stand your ground laws or self-defense laws, you will be in the legal system for years. And the thing is, Maryland doesn't have those laws. So like if you were to have to use your weapon against someone, you would be taken into custody. You'd be arrested even if they broke into your home, probably. Like, honestly, like, you got to be prepared for that mindset, which it's not saying it's a bad thing. It's just, that's just the process, man.
No, yeah. And that's something that, you know, I think people understandably think about the like self-defense part first and not the, you know, ramifications of self-defense.
Yeah. I'll link it. Or I'll send you the link.
While you do that, is there a downside to making your own ammo?
Yes.
Like, is it cost effective?
It's okay. So here's the deal: when you reload, it is not. Before 2020, if you were a reloader, it was not cost effective. It was just because you wanted to make your own ammo and you were OCD and you wanted to sort of do your own thing, and you know you wanted
powder compositions.
You wanted control of your supply, basically. Yeah. You know, but the thing is now I can make 9mm for about 16 cents a round, and you can't even find it.
For how much?
16 cents a round is what I make 9mm for.
Damn. What do you make 5.56 for?
About 23 or 24 cents a round. So I would make it about the same price pre-pandemic, but now it's like it pays off. So
okay, 2 questions. One, in our earlier conversation, you said defensive rounds. Would you like? Is there a difference between defensive and assault rounds, or is that just what you mean?
That's just, there's no such thing. I mean, there's no such thing as an assault round. There's rounds that you know.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't.
Yeah.
Like,
so
okay.
you have. I'm gonna very much simplify this. But you have basically 2 kinds of ammo. You have stuff you kill things with and stuff you practice with. Okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if I want to go shoot a deer in the woods and take a deer, you know, take wild game, I'm not going to use an FMJ round because it's going to possibly go right through that animal and not incapacitate it enough to kill it. Same idea with humans, right? Same idea. So I'm going to use something that will expand and cause
ricochet
a large
damage
shock.
Inside. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it'll cause a lot of hydrostatic shock to actually put that down. And that's where like the FBI ballistic gelatin test comes in, and penetration depth, and all kinds of other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the biggest thing is round choice. So you can practice with 55 grain ammunition, like the FMJ stuff, but you want a good soft point, or something that will expand and stop. And another thing too is if you're using a rifle or a handgun for self-defense in your home, what else do you got to worry about? You got to worry about stuff going through walls, right? A 55 grain FMJ bullet or a 9mm FMJ will go through an entire house and not stop. Whereas a well-constructed hollow point with good sectional density, or a well-constructed soft point with good sectional density from a rifle will maybe penetrate one wall and then start to yaw and tumble and stop before it gets too far.
Two things. One is, what would the cost be when you quoted that cost for creating 5.56 yourself? Was that for defensive rounds or for practice rounds, or is it going to be the same?
You should never. There are a lot of reasons why you should never make your own defensive ammo. And it can be very complicated. The biggest so there's a myth going around saying that if you make your own defensive ammo, a prosecutor will take you to town, and even if it's a good shoot, blah 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 blah, you'll get locked in jail because you made your own ammo. That's patently false. A good shoot is a good shoot. A bad shoot is a bad shoot. You don't. If the legal standard of you either going away for life or getting the chair, or you staying out of jail, is whether you made your ammo or not, you've already fucked up. You've already fucked up along the way.
Okay.
Right. So, but on that note, you want to always buy your defensive ammo from a well-regarded source or manufacturer, because you want it to be consistent and you want it to be reliable.
Okay. Yeah. No, that absolutely makes sense, because you, as a amateur round manufacturer, are gonna make mistakes at the fucking company. Hopefully.
So here's the website. It's called Law of Self-Defense. I'm not affiliated with this guy at all. I just have his book. He is like the predominant self-defense expert in the U.S. basically. His name's, I think it's Andrew F. Bronca. And if you carry a gun for self-defense at all, you should read his book cover to cover every fucking year. Every year you should read that book cover to cover, because it covers pretty much all self-defense laws in the U.S. wherever it's at. And it's like a $30 book, and if you don't read it, you're doing yourself a disservice.
No, Occam, that isn't the guy talking. The guy's talking just knows a lot about guns, has a lot of experience. I was in the military with him, and he's recommending the book to fellow gun owners.
Yeah, that's the best book you can read. And then also another one is called The Gift of Fear, and it's by Gavin DeBecker, and he is one of the foremost security experts in the nation. And it basically talks about that sixth sense of fear, and trusting that your gut whenever you're in a situation or something like that. Those two books are extremely important for anyone that is serious about their own safety and self-defense to read.
Perfect. Real quick, I want to take this moment to just say to the chat and folks, and Lynnie, you can put this at the beginning of this segment. We're just talking about self-defense. I've always wanted to have a rifle for self-defense, and this is the best gun expert I know. He's one of my good friends, and so that's what this conversation is about. This has nothing to do with going to war or any stupid shit. Like, I know we've been spending all day talking about what happened in DC. So these are two, it's related in the sense that yesterday reminded me of my need for something for self-defense, but otherwise that's just it.
Yeah. Another thing too is so back to the original question of what rifle you should get. Honestly, we'll have to just sit down offline, and we'll have to look at the list of what's allowed in Maryland and just figure it out. I have a few resources in Maryland that I know that can probably guide you a little better, and maybe even custom build you a rifle that will fit the laws there, and so you won't run afoul of the law. But the biggest issue you're going to face is getting ammo and getting proper defense ammo, and really honestly, if you're going to own a rifle, you need to go get training. I always tell people to go seek training. If you can afford a $4,000 rifle, you can go to a $400 2-day class that teaches you the fundamentals of how to use that rifle properly. I'm actually going to a class by Reston Group, Jared Reston Group in a few months here, and it's going to be a 2-day advanced carbine course. So I mean, I really recommend. I mean, if you have the money to do it, go train with well-regarded trainers. It can save your life.
Yeah, let me add on to that, folks. That again, like I said, Matt's fucking not Matt. Sorry, I was thinking of the same.
You're fine. You're
good. Sneaky is the biggest gun expert I know, and
but I'm by no means an expert. I mean, I know enough to be dangerous, and I know enough how to find and answer my questions.
He's being humble, but this dude probably knows more about guns than anyone you guys know. And despite all that, he seeks training. So even though that I was a Marine along with him, that I feel that I can handle a rifle really well with confidence. I'm right there with him, and I'm going to take courses. It's it's very important. And this is why, like, you know, as much as I'm pro Second Amendment, and I think that it exists for a specific reason, when it comes to like the relationship between the citizenry and the government, and even though I think we're way a ways from anything like that ever needing to happen, you know, this is why the gun reform I support is like, if you should own a gun, you should be a little more fucking tested than just, oh, I'm allowed to go buy a gun. As much as I support the Second Amendment right, I think everyone should have training if you touch a firearm.
Well, I mean, you know, that's an issue, and you know, one thing they could have done is, you know, not take shooting sports out of high schools.
I never knew they did that. Is that
I mean, they pretty much eliminated sponsored shooting sports throughout high schools. I mean, unless you're part of a private school or there's a private club, like, you know, back when our parents were young in the 60s and 50s, and you know, our grandparents in the 40s, they had rifle clubs at schools where they would shoot 22s and things like that and learn marksmanship. You know, and they don't do that
Columbine
anymore. What?
Was this after Columbine?
Oh no, this was way before. This is a big, you know, they really sort of stopped doing that in the 80s, and really in the inner city and urban and suburban areas, they stopped doing that in the 80s and 90s, and it's an issue. You know, it's an issue because if you look at other countries that, like, I hate doing this, but if you look at some of the European countries, like I want to say it's Sweden, or is it Switzerland? No, it's Switzerland. You know, everyone's conscripted at some point, and they get a SIG rifle, right? And then they keep that rifle because basically they can be called up at any time, and they have different shooting sports and all kinds of stuff, and everyone sort of knows how to basically work a rifle. But you know, we that model doesn't work in America just because we're so big. But I mean, the thing is like, you know, we've gotten rid of the ability for people to actually handle these things and not be afraid of them. You know, it's a tool, or it's an inanimate object like anything else. Like, so you should being afraid of guns is sort of ridiculous. It's saying you're afraid of an inanimate object. You know?
I think it's that like natural human stupid fear, and this
it is.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not bashing people that are, quote, afraid of guns. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying, you know, education goes a long damn way.
It does. I mean, we can look at something a little more innocuous and something that we can't ban, which is like snakes and spiders, right? A lot of the fear of snakes and spiders is unwarranted. And a lot of spiders and snakes die every year because of it.
Dude, yeah, I mean, spiders. I mean, to be funny, you know, my wife always is like, you know, there's a spider on the wall, kill it. I'm like, no. I usually pick it up and put it outside because I was like, the spider kills all the shitty bugs that we don't want in the house.
Yep, exactly, 100%. And so same with guns. Like, people see what happens and then they become afraid of guns, and
you know, and the thing is, it's funny because you know, of course, shootings are an issue, but if you look at the trend of violence in the U.S. since the 70s, our population has gone up and our the level of violence has gone down. It's still trending flat or downwards. Like, that's just how it is. But so a lot of this stuff is just, you know, it's just, you know, fork rattling for this, or, you know, pitchfork rattling for the sake of pitchfork rattling. It's a rallying cry, which I'm not gonna ever dismiss anyone that wants to be safe. That'd be ridiculous. But you're not getting rid of. Okay, so the population of the U.S. is a little over 300 million, like 320 million or something like that. I think.
Yeah.
They estimate there's 383 million guns in the U.S. right now that have been purchased.
Oh yeah, that have been purchased. I think it's like the estimate's like there's like 2.5 guns per citizen.
There's 2.5 guns per citizen, but let's be real. There's a lot of people that don't own guns, so it's probably more like for gun owners. There's probably about 5 guns per person. I mean, dude, I have a safe full of hunting rifles and shotguns and all kinds of stuff. Like
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wonder if what you're talking about earlier with Sweden. I wonder if that's why Scandinavian countries make so many good weapons, because don't they provide some of the best in the world?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, that's a complicated subject.
I've always wanted to do the gun talks with you.
It's quality is sort of like, what do you consider quality? One of those things.
I guess I would say that from my amateur ignorant side, the prevalence of it, like it just seems that everything is made in like Sweden or Switzerland or some shit, or Norway. Like isn't Sig Sauer Swedish?
I mean, no, Sig's actually made in Exeter, New Hampshire. They were previously made in Germany.
Okay.
Sig's a German company.
Okay.
I actually have a few West German Sigs that are marked West Germany.
No shit.
Yeah, they're like super old Sig handguns that are marked West German, which it's really neat because one of them was produced when it was East and West Germany.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, are those worth something extra because of that?
Yeah, I have a couple handguns that are worth in the thousands. Like I have a Dan Wesson 357 Magnum revolver that my father-in-law bought for like $600 from a pawn shop, and it's worth probably $3,500 right now in the current condition it's in.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Damn, Daniel.
So yeah. I mean, I have a couple collectible things that I just sort of hang around with.
That's pretty sweet. Well, hey man, I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with that. We'll have to have our offline chat and figure out what we want.
Yeah, and if anyone has any questions, you can always shoot them to me, and I'm always down to talk about guns and stuff. So.
All right, here's one. If you want to do a little bit of a political one, you can dip out if you don't want to.
Okay, that's fine.
But I see a chat a little bit. I'm following it lightly, so I apologize, guys, if I miss it. But like they're talking about American gun culture and obsession. And with regards to gun culture, I think my answer would be, why are Americans obsessed with guns? I think it would be the fact that we have, from our inception, understood that a well-armed populace is an excellent check against tyrannical government. And so while we are very far away from it, the idea that just because the government has nukes and drones and whatever, that the American people can't do anything, therefore we should forfeit our guns for that reason, is absurd. And
it's a hard conversation to have, because you got to look at it this way. And there's someone named Omer in chat that I'm sort of following, and I want to touch on something that he said real quick. That it said, studies show when you have a gun in a situation that requires you to defend yourself, increase the harm you will suffer. You are not wrong there, and that is due to a lot of times lack of training or a lack of de-escalation. So I wanted to point that out, that I think a lot of people were probably ragging on him about studies showing that if you have a gun, there can be more harm. Well, yes, but there are also Felk, he's absolutely correct in his base statement, but there are a lot of other factors that really go into that. To include training, and there a lot of times too, just the presence of a firearm has been proven to deter someone. Like a lot of times, the only things that are recorded are if a justifiable homicide has occurred. Correct. So that's the only thing that's recorded. Well, a lot of times, what's not recorded is the gun is drawn, and so it's not recorded as anything. It's recorded as a defensive measure of some sorts, and that's all in the FBI UCR, the Uniform Crime Report. It's got all the statistics, but it's very interesting because there's a lot of stuff there that my big thing is like, I don't only carry a gun, I carry a knife, and I also carry OC spray. I carry pepper spray.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather pepper spray someone and make them hurt a little bit and have them get the fuck away from me than fucking shoot someone. I don't want to shoot anybody. Fuck that. That sucks. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
no one should want to shoot someone.
Yeah, but anyway, back to your question with the whole, the government has drones, the government has this, the government has that. Okay, so the thing is like, yeah, the government might have all that shit, but who's going to be piloting and driving all that shit? You think those people want to kill their brothers and sisters? I doubt it.
Yeah, no, that's going to be always like, again, theorizing. We're not actually like, that's not what the point of this conversation was, but yeah, it's really interesting to think how the military would split when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you that I think if there was any sort of insurrection to overthrow the government, which I don't think there will be, and I'm not advocating for that at all because I think it's ridiculous. I mean, as much as I don't like necessarily what's going on right now. It's there needs to be no overthrow. Biden's the president. Period. This just how it is. I don't see people taking up arms with the government to suppress the population.
Agreed.
Because here's the thing: all it takes is a few hundred troops dying, and the deserting starts. We won the Revolutionary War with guerrilla tactics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's sort of what we do. Like, look at any actual war we fought, and I'm not talking of the mess that is Iraq and Afghanistan, because those are just that's bullshit. But if you look at World War II and you look at how Americans fought, we didn't use our standard tactics that we wrote down. We used basically ad hoc guerrilla tactics to accomplish the mission. And we dropped giant fucking bombs in Japan. So
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Real quick, that wasn't an insensitive laugh towards
No, yeah, you're good.
The death of Japan. I gotta clarify for the video, so it's more just like one of those like kind of laughs. Yeah, no, and I mean, I like to point to Afghanistan a lot. Like, the Afghans, like, yeah, we gave them a few bits of really good technology, but we saw what that little bit of good technology can do.
Here's the thing, man. The Afghanistan stopped fucking Alexander the Great.
Yep.
One of the largest armies at the time. They stopped the British. They stopped the Russians with our help.
Yeah.
And they've pushed our shit in, whether people want to believe it or not.
Yep.
Like, you can't fight a population that doesn't want you there. And it's the same theoretical concept with us, except we are way better armed than those guys as far as civilians go.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, what Mother Trucker said is exactly right. Afghanistan, the graveyard of empires. 110%, man. Good Lord. I mean, it is. So, but yeah, we'll talk offline about what you want. If you end up moving to Texas, I know a few very well-regarded manufacturers down there that we can basically just walk into the shop and get you whatever you want built to your spec. So...
Sounds good to me, dude. Hey, you playing Call of Duty at all anymore?
I'm big on Escape from Tarkov now. I've been playing the hell out of that.
I don't have the patience for that.
Oh, I do.
All right, man. Well, hey, we're gonna hop off and see Pelosi speak, but I really appreciate you coming on, and we should do this again. Talk shit about guns. A lot of people in chat seem interested.
Anytime you want to. I mean, if we want to do specific segments on different things, I can do some research and bring some material, and maybe do a tabletop. On some stuff.
That'd be sick. Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, I'll give you a call offline later.
All right. I'll see you later.
Later, brother.
Bye.
Cool, dude. Let's tune into Pelosi and we can talk about the stuff Sneaky and I talked about after.
Which is the temple of our American democracy, and the violence targeting Congress are horrors that will forever stain our nation's history. Instigated by the President of the United States. That's why it's such a stain. In calling for this seditious act, the President has committed an unspeakable assault on our nation and our people. I join the Senate Democratic leader in calling on the Vice President to remove this President by immediately invoking the 25th Amendment. If the Vice President and Cabinet do not act, the Congress may be prepared to move forward with impeachment. That is the overwhelming sentiment of my caucus. And the American people, by the way. Justice will be done to those who carried out these acts, which were acts of sedition and acts of cowardice. To those whose purpose was to deter our responsibility, you have failed.
Called
You
it.
did not divert the Congress from our solemn constitutional purpose to validate the overwhelming election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as President and Vice President of the United States. Despite the desecration of our Capitol, we upheld in front of the country and the world the bedrock principle that the people are sovereign and that they hold the power to choose their leaders through the ballot, rejecting this attempted coup on the part of President Trump and his supporters. Accountability is also needed for Republicans in Congress who promoted the extreme conspiracy theories that provoked the violence, encouraged the mob, and who, after desecration of the Capitol, went back to the House floor and continued to push the falsehoods and underpinned this assault that underpinned this assault on our democracy. These Republicans abdicated their oath of office that was taken just 3 days prior to protect the American people and to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. The House worked through the evening and into the morning to nearly 4 a.m. to validate the electoral count, again proclaiming Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as the duly elected President and Vice President of the United States. I just want to say how proud I am of my members. For a while now, our 4 scholars, we call them,
Bye, Omer.
Jamie
Thank you for coming
Raskin,
by.
Zoe
Appreciate the
Lofton,
good
chair
content.
of the Committee of Jurisdiction, Adam Schiff, and Joe Neguse set forth a plan that was about the Constitution. It wasn't about Donald Trump and all the reasons he shouldn't be president. He was not part of this. It was about the Constitution and how we are a country of law. We are not a monarchy with a king, as Jamie has said over and over again. I want to also thank the members of the Arizona delegation, led by Raul Grijalva, and the Pennsylvania delegation, led by Mike Doyle, the 2 deans, for the presentations that they made to refute the ridiculous statements being made by our colleagues. For what reason, I don't know, but that wasn't about reason. So I thank them for them. And through all of this week, our swearing in on Sunday, passing our rule and preparing for Wednesday as the week began, the election of 2 Democrats in Georgia because of the overwhelming participation of people at the grassroots level. So many people. I'm so proud of our House members. Congresswoman Williams, the chair of the Georgia Democratic Party, Lucy McBath,
Hey, Sneaky, thanks for the 3 months,
newly
buddy.
elected Carolyn Bordeaux, David Scott, Mr. Bishop, who was the dean of that delegation, and Hank Johnson. Well, they had their plan already.
She's talking about me,
should
Dub.
they have objected to Georgia, as did Nevada, as did Michigan, as did Wisconsin. So we were prepared. Members worked hard about defending the Constitution, honoring our purpose to count and ascertain the Electoral College numbers for the president.
He's nuts.
So I was proud of him. And I did over and over again. We're very pleased now that we have, in 13 days, President Joe Biden, a Democratic House majority, and a Democratic Senate majority that will work to heal and restore the soul of our nation. I will close by evoking, as I did last night, the song of St. Francis, our patron saint in San Francisco, whose song of St. Francis is our city's anthem. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace. Where there is darkness, may we bring light. Where there is hatred, love, despair, hope. The list goes on. And so does the time for healing take us down a path of unity for our country. With that, I'd be pleased to take any questions. Yes, ma'am.
Speaker Pelosi, would you encourage cabinet members not to resign so that they can invoke the 25th Amendment?
No, but let's go over that list. Why wouldn't they, if you're a member of the cabinet, a secretary in the cabinet, you're in a line of succession to the presidency, president, vice president, speaker of the House, Senate leader, pro tem, and then Secretary of State. When, just for information of some, when you have the 25th Amendment invoked, that would be calling upon the Vice President, as we hope to do, to take the lead, and with a majority of the cabinet, to be able to unseat the President of the United States. A very dangerous person who should not continue in office. This is urgent. This is emergency of the highest magnitude. So you're Pompeo, the Secretary of State.
Leftist style, we a Destiny chat here.
Do you stand by this president dangerously staying in office? Secretary of the Treasury.
But we still love you.
What is it? Is it about success in business later, or is it, do you believe in this? Do we have the list? I know it because I know it. Then the way it goes is Saint Dapiakalhu. That's a mnemonic. Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Defense. The acting Secretary of Defense. I don't know what authority he may have, but he certainly has to answer for where the National Guard was yesterday. Secretary of, then Attorney General. Attorney General Barr. Do you subscribe to the presidency of Donald Trump after the act of sedition he committed yesterday? It's an ex-Postmaster General, but that's in when our founders put it together. Interior. The list goes on. Ask each member of the cabinet, do they stand by these actions? Are they ready to say, in the next 13 days, this dangerous man can do further harm to our country, an assault on our democracy, on the first branch of government? Rosen, we spoke to yesterday. Why would he not?
Is she answering questions? I'm a little...
As the acting AG.
I'm a little confused.
As the acting AG.
Oh, she's talking about, like, why the National Guard was stopped yesterday? Is that what's happening?
There are some courageous Republicans who are speaking out. I salute Secretary of Defense Bill Cohen and other defense secretaries who have signed the letter, even before yesterday, about what is going on in the White House and how that is not a good thing for our country, and the message that it sent to the world. A complete tool of Putin, this president is. Putin's goal was to diminish the role of the view of democracy in the world. That's what he has been about. And
Putin.
Again, his enabler has been Donald Trump for a long time. That's why I said in that photo when I'm leaving his meeting with you, Mr. President, all roads lead to Putin. Putin wants to undermine democracy. That's what he's about domestically and internationally. And the president gave him the biggest of all of his many gifts to Putin, the biggest gift yesterday. My friends, we are in a very difficult place in our country as long as Donald Trump still sits in the White House. Yes,
you said you may be forced to pursue impeachment. Under what circumstances would you do that, and how long would you give this 25th Amendment process to play out before going down that road?
Well, it's a simple matter. In terms of the Constitution, the Vice President, working with the Cabinet, more than 50% of the Cabinet, can immediately improve the security of our country. That doesn't happen. Jamie Raskin has passed legislation that enables another step in the
25th Amendment process. The 25th Amendment process is when it is determined that the president is unfit, for whatever reason, to be president of the United States, in case some people don't know what that is. And he clearly has indicated that over and over again. And by inciting sedition, as he did yesterday, he must be removed from office. While it's only 13 days left, any day can be a horror show for America. So the next step would be that Congress, and this can be done quickly, can establish a commission very fast of maybe former presidents, cabinet people.
Real quick. I try to not steel man destiny it too much, but a leftist, all I will say is I think you should engage more with his content. I think if you listen to him far more often than you do when he engages with people that you do like, I think you would have a different view of him. Doesn't mean you'd like everything from him, but the one thing I find is that the people that don't get regular doses of his content seem to like, actually, real quick. So I was talking to someone, I don't know if they want to be named, but we were just talking about like the way people handle Steven's content. And it's understandable that someone from the outside who doesn't understand the lore, doesn't understand the previous interactions he's had with certain people, doesn't understand the extent to which he has hashed out a bunch of these issues and given his complete takes. If you don't have that background, which is understandable because you can't watch every streamer and that can't be expected. If you don't have that, the outsider who comes to see him arguing against someone they agree with or someone that they seem to agree with is going to be a way harder thing to stomach when he's getting angry, he's shouting, he seems to be shit stirring. It's understandable that someone would walk away from that. And we've talked a little bit offline about like how much of his content you have listened to. And I just think that if you watch him a little more often, or maybe some key videos, and if people in chat can think of a good one where he has done some really good work as far as, I don't mean like debating down Nazis, because I think leftist Al is going to completely agree with Steven there, right? But if you find a video that's a good example of Steven going against a leftist, where he's pushing on them for being either inconsistent or for being unrealistic or whatever, I think you might see, if it's something from the early days of the lefty arc, that he's not just this bad faith shit-stirring asshole. Also, you can't like compare Twitter Destiny to real Destiny. Even though it's still him, it's not accurate. He's there to fight.
Would know something about health, the health of the president and the rest, and that group can make its recommendations.
And see, that's where I disagree, because I find Steven to be incredibly self-aware and very responsible in his messaging. Even if he has his moments of being inflammatory, like, the rest of his body of work, in my opinion, accounts for that. And I think there should be more onus on people for how they ingest his material.
To the Congress, list goes on. Having said that, if that the best route, the most immediate route would be the vice president to recognize the danger of the Donald Trump presidency and take this action. A. B, my members are very much interested, as are, my phone is exploding with impeach. The president must be held accountable again. He likes... Madam Speaker, we would be prepared to do that, but I don't have immediate plans because we haven't even been to sleep since the folly of the Republicans deciding...
Oh, man, has she been awake all night?
No
Fuck,
purpose
that sucks.
whatsoever, except to be enablers of the president's sedition by undermining the elections. Imagine that, the President of the United States undermining the elections in our country. So in any event, we would be prepared.
How long are you willing to give Pence? 24 hours, 48 hours?
I don't know how quickly he might respond. We'll see. And that could be quick.
There's great urgency. The clock is clearly ticking. There's 13 days.
That's right.
How long are you willing to give the cabinet and Pence until they make a
Well, I
decision
think that
before
they
you
will.
start your own procedure?
I don't think that it'll take long to get an answer from the Vice President. It'll either be yes or it will be no, and we'll see. But we want to make sure.
Today? Do you expect an answer today?
We would hope. But Mr. Schumer, the new majority leader of the Senate, and I have made our interest in this known. So we'll see what they come back with. But they have to answer for it. And in answering for whether they're prepared to do that, they are answering for the behavior of Donald Trump.
Next week. The security breaches here. Chuck Schumer's talking about firing Sergeant Arms over there. Are you thinking of a similar step over here? What are you going to do to address the security breaches on the Capitol?
Well, let me just say that is a very important question. Let me hold for a moment, because it is not. We have to do the after-action review. I am calling for the resignation of the Chief of the Capitol Police, Mr. Sund, and I have received notice from Mr. Irving that he will be submitting his resignation. Having said that, we'll have the after-action review, but it goes beyond the Capitol Police. It goes to the FBI. What was the shortcoming in their intelligence that they provided? It goes to the Department of Defense. How long did it take for them to respond or anticipate the need for the National Guard? It goes to many other elements of the executive branch, and I think we have to have a full review. But from the standpoint of, well, let me just say this, many of our Capitol Police just acted so bravely and so with such concern for the staff, for the members, for the capital of the United States. Many of them, and they deserve our gratitude. But there was a failure of leadership at the top of the Capitol Police, and I think Mr. Sund, he hasn't even called us since this happened. So I had made it aware that I would be saying that we're calling for his resignation. Now, in that score, getting back to what was underestimated, that the President of the United States would not be as insightful. Perhaps somebody thought for a moment that he would be patriotic before he leaves office for just this once. So again, the fact that these people were incited. And you know what? Last night, I don't know if you heard on the floor, but some of the Republicans, in their enabling of the president's bad behavior, have said those were not Trumpites.
I think the fact that Trump came out and said shit like...
disguised as Trumpites. Right. So we have a problem here with the...
That Trump came out and couldn't give his denouncement of what was happening without saying, I know we lost, but please go home. Like, go home. What you're doing is wrong. Go home. That should have been his messaging. I don't think he was giving some sort of well-measured, like, hey, I understand where you're coming from, but please go home. No, I just think Trump couldn't fucking help himself.
What's next? What happens today? Who knows? But what we do know, that he must be contained. Any other questions? Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
All about this? Are you talking to Paul about impeachment?
So I wanted to ask, for the inauguration, what are your plans? How are those changing, and how do you plan to keep members and people in the Capitol secure at that time?
Well, I'll go back to my original point. We have 13 days more of Donald Trump to deal with, who is a danger to our country. So when we talk about the inauguration, that is a national security event, and that rises to a different level of security protection. We want every day at the Capitol to be deemed a national security event, so that there's no, well, I didn't know, and blah, 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 that highest level of concern, intelligence seeking, redundancy if necessary, to protect. We've been working a long time on the inauguration, and just in terms of coronavirus, another shortcoming of the president, people have died because of his denial, distortion, and the rest, calling it a hoax. This man is deadly to our democracy and to our people. But to your point, so because of coronavirus, in our meetings on the intelligence, on the inauguration, as far as we have jurisdiction in the Congress, but then it becomes the purview of the presidential now designee, Joe Biden. But to the point that we have that, the decision was encouraged to just have a very small inauguration. I don't know what is in the public domain on it, but I'm not going to put that out there, except that it would be very small, and hopefully have a celebration at some later time when we're not coronavirus sensitive. Now, on top of that, to see what happened yesterday, if there's any, I don't want to use the word benefit because nothing could justify, but if there's anything learned about it is that we have to be very, very careful, because these people and their leader, Donald Trump, do not care about the security of people. They don't care about our democracy. They don't care about the peaceful transfer of power. Something's very, very wrong here. Now, let me just say one more thing about what he did yesterday and relating to other national security events. People saw all throughout the world something that looked like it was out of a banana republic or some other kind of a third world, where the president of the country turned on the people. And what was sad about it is, of course, as members of Congress, we sign up. We sign up for the exposure that we have. But to see in the eyes of so many of the staff people, especially the younger ones, the trauma, the fright that it was for them to be locked into rooms with terrorists banging on the doors, hiding under desks, under tables, and the rest of that. They didn't sign up for that. We didn't sign them up for that. They're a blessing to be interested in public service.
And they shouldn't have to deal with that.
To learn from it here, perhaps to go on into public service, but to carry that important value
public servants
into whatever they do in life.
Shouldn't feel threatened in their day-to-day.
To meet
not
with
by
them
Americans.
And to see
not
how
by
frightened
fucking
they were,
Americans.
how traumatized they were. Because these thugs, these Trump thugs, decided that they would desecrate the Capitol with no thought of what harm they might do physically, psychologically, or in any other way. And they will be prosecuted. Justice will be done. So in terms of the inauguration, I don't know if it could be made any smaller, but I don't trust whatever the president might have in mind, because I do not trust, because I think he's a very dangerous man. So again, we'll review what our options are in terms of the 25th Amendment, review what our options are. If he wants to be unique and be doubly impeached, that's kind of up to him and his cabinet as to whether he should stay in office. Impeached, defeated, impeached, gone. And it's really a sad tragedy for our country. I say I pray for the president every day, and I do. Last night was the hardest day for me. Night, like 5 o'clock in the morning when I finally got home, as I was praying at night, you got to keep praying for me. You got to keep praying for me. Maybe there's some hope. But we can't take that chance because people's lives are at stake as well as our democracy. That's it for now. Thank you.
Goodbye.
President, welcome at the inauguration. Do you want him to come? And then the follow-up was, are you going to bring your members back to vote on this? And she said, I don't need a plan. So that was the...
I see the Bloomberg terminal there. Preaching flatbed.
Hey, it's not all bad. It's skills color.
All right, you guys know what I can play. All right, wait, real quick. So, my hold on. My groceries are about to arrive. So, if you guys name a song that you know I know how to play and sing, we'll sing it, and then I'm gonna go up and set up a cooking stream. Thank you, Saimi. Or is it just Sammy? I'm not in New York City. Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people. Wait, millions of people living as foes. Maybe it's not too late to learn how to love and forget how to hate. Insane, going off the rails on a crazy train. Secretary, cleaning up, waving goodbye to the camera. Oh, there's more people in the briefing room, walking away full of gloom and doom. Insurrection in the American Capitol. I believe they did finish counting the electoral votes and then certifying. Momo, are you the Momo that Destiny meme is about, that I just learned about Ban Momo? Is that you? All right, I'm gonna play one song for you, then I gotta go upstairs and get ready for the cooking show. hold on one second. I remembered to mute the right mic. All right. Salad, yummy, yummy. Fruit salad, yummy, yummy. Fruit salad, yummy, yummy. Yummy, 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 yummy. Fruit salad. Let's make some fruit salad today. Oh, it's fun to do. It's a healthy way. Take all the fruit that you want to eat. It's gonna be a fruit salad tree. The first step, peel your bananas. The second step, turn out some grapes. The third step, chop up some apples. Chop up some melons and put them on your plate. And now you made it, it's time to eat it. It's just so good that you just can't beat it. Give everyone a plate and a spoon. We'll be eating it very soon. The first step, heat up some bananas. The second step, eat up some grapes. The third step, heat up some apples. Heat up some melons after nothing on your plate. Let's eat it salad today. It's fun to do the healthy way. Now we've had our fruit salad today. It's time to put the scraps away. Wash the bowls and wash the spoon. Let's do it again real soon. Fruit salad, yummy, yummy. Fruit salad, fucking yummy. Fruit salad, yummy, 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 yummy. Fruit salad, fruit salad, yummy, yummy. Fruit salad, yummy, yummy. Fruit salad, yummy, 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 yeah, yeah. Whew. I lost 80 viewers for that one. I can't start a leftist band, Leftist Owl, for I am a liberal. Let's see if groceries have been. Order is complete and delivered. So I'm going to go upstairs. And validate that my order was delivered. I gotta make sure I don't have any work meetings. Give me 1 second. Let's make a fruit salad today. It's fun to do. It's a healthy. Damn it! I have a work happy hour, but that's not until 4:30. So. Oh God, I hate the fucking work happy hours. Fuck. All right, I'm gonna go turn my other phone on and get that set up. Thank you. for tuning in. January 7th, 21 feels like a win. We almost hit 200 concurrent viewers today. That's cause to celebrate. Just let me say, hey, thank you all from the bottom of my heart. We did it all natural, didn't have to leech too much. With a host from Siami, a few donations of subs and such. So thank you for the subs, thank you for the follows. I mean it from the bottom of my ballos. I love, love, love you all. Love, love you all. Thank you. Have a good day. But still keep watching, cause I'm gonna be right back once I get my cooking stream set up. See you guys soon. About like not even 10 minutes, I'll be back online. So